So in this live streaming session, we're going to be building our backend for our video streaming platform. We're going to be working on setting up our Cloudflare Streams. We're going to be working on improving the workers that we already have. We're going to be implementing and putting data into Cloudflare D1 database, and obviously uploading those assets to Cloudflare R2, which is their storage layer. So with that, I'm going to show you how you could actually get the uploader work. So if you look here, this is the platform that we have. It just has a bunch of placeholder data at this particular point. In this session, we got the uploader working. So we're able to get that working at the end of the video. So feel free to skip around to the parts that are relevant for you. All in all, we also talk about the Monorepo and how to set up a Monorepo and how to allow sort of the AI to have context across front end and back end, and how to separate your application in a way so that you can build a scalable architecture and not necessarily have all of your application embedded into one project. I want to be clear with this. This is not a play code that we're doing. We're actually building a real world SaaS application, and we're building with proper architecture. And that means that we're not skipping on the details. We're going to go through all the pieces in order to make sure that this is a proper application that can be scaled. Now, we're not focusing on security right now, but next week we're going to be focusing on that. So stay tuned for that. Right now, the focus is just basically getting the backend, getting the uploader, and just talking through some of the architectural challenges. Now, this video is a continuation of live vibe coding session 101, week 1. So if you're watching this and you haven't watched week 1, you will get sort of a little bit summary overview at the beginning of this video, because we're always going to read what's happening from the past video. However, if you want more details, go back to week 1, watch week 1, and that'll give you more details. My goal here is to advance you as fast as possible to the next level. That means for each video that we put up, we're going to be going significantly much faster, and we're going to be skipping over details because the assumption is that you've watched the previous videos. So with that, if you haven't watched that, go back and watch the video. Now, like I said, the timelines are at the bottom of the video, so skip around to the parts that are relevant to you if you don't want to watch the entire thing. But every week we're going to be adding more complexity, so stay tuned for that. Next week we're going to be diving a lot deeper into authentication and from the other parts. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do, please like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and share your thoughts. If you think I'm going too fast, if you think I'm going too slow, whatever feedback you have, put it in the chat and we're going to try to work through them. At the end of the day, my goal is to get you to ship real production application. So we might be going slightly slower, but the goal is within a month, 3 weeks time, you will have a shippable, workable code. So with that, enjoy the video. I want to talk about the parts that are relevant as to why I'm actually spending the time jumping on these Friday calls. Number one is I've been a developer. I am a developer. This is what I do. I love writing code. So that's number one. Number two is somewhere in between there, I've gotten the itch to be an entrepreneur. And the truth is, I didn't even know what that word entrepreneur means. I just know that I didn't want to just write code. I wanted to write code that would either one, make me money, or two, create some sort of impact. We'll do a recap, make sure everybody's caught up and up to speed. I just want to talk about the mission, the goal, like why are we doing this? Because I think it's important. If we're going to jump here every Friday and we're going to code, it's important that you understand my motivations and my driving force as to why I promise to show up here every single week. Being a coder for a while, work on multiple different types of projects, started my own SaaS company, software as a service, and built a couple of software. One is a project called SnapSuite, which I'll share to you. This is a live chat, so I'll show you guys what I've done from a software standpoint and let you understand my driving force. So this is my software, and I promise you this is not a sales pitch in any way. I have no interest in selling any of you that are on this call this system. It's not even for you guys. But this is my software, and I built it out and learned a lot of stuff over the years in building like a SaaS company. We got a couple customers on our platform, etc. But the truth is, it's not to the level of success that I would like it to be. That is the honest truth. And I want to be 100% upfront and honest with you guys all together. We've had a lot of growing pains with building this software. A lot of growing pains. We've closed customers that will pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month and then lose them. And it all comes down to the fact that there was just a lot of growing pains. One is I was learning as a software developer. I was learning how to run a business. I was learning how to just manage things all together, right? So I'm sharing that story just to say, by the way, this company I still run today, and we do have clients in it and stuff like that. But I want to make sure that we're level setting on that front. The reason why I'm doing that is because the mission for me is very clear. This is, whatever I teach you guys, whatever I show you, the goal is to help you to avoid my mistakes. That's number one. That's a very critical thing. And the second goal is to figure out how can I not only allow you to avoid my mistakes, but fast track your knowledge to a place where you don't have to struggle through all of the challenges that I've been through. That's a core mission for me. It's just how I live my life altogether. I want to make sure that every week when we come on these calls, we're getting that value. And then third but not least is ensuring that whatever we're building together, it's going to translate to dollars and cents, money. Okay. I'm a big believer that if I can educate people and get them to a place where they could actually build the tools or the things that they want to build, that could improve their lives overall. Whatever your situation is, I don't know you guys personally. I don't know what you're going through or what's happening in your own personal life. I don't know your job situation. I'm just telling you my mission. And if you show up every single week, that is what I promise to deliver on. And that is my mission and commitment to this channel altogether. That being said, though, there's a sort of an adjacent goal embedded in this entire mission of mine, which is there's more senior developers that are coming to my channel. And I know this because I've been deliberately trying to lure technical people to my channel. So I have two audience embedded in the channel, and it'll be interesting to see how it pans out over the next couple of years. But I just want to share this with you so you kind of understand another stuff. So I did this post this week. I posted about Azure versus Cloudflare. Because again, I'm a .NET developer. I've been a .NET developer. And this post here highlighted my 15 years of sort of development over thing. And this post blew up this week here. It's got like 44,000 views and just a ton of comments all together. People going back and forth. Some people were debating. Some people were arguing. Some people had different opinions. Doesn't matter. The point is it had a lot of engagement. And some people were just following me altogether. The reason why I posted this is because I feel like the industry as a whole, the technology industry as a whole, we're siloed in like our lane, right? You're either a PHP developer and you're sitting in the Laravel world, or you're a Rails developer, you're sitting there, or you're a Next.js developer, or you're Nux developer, or in my case, you're a .NET developer, right? You're sitting in these lanes. And what ended up happening is, as developers, because of our lives getting busy and all this type of stuff, we put on blinders and we zone in on just the thing that we need to focus on to get our job done. But because of my experience and challenges that I talked about on the software side of things and building a software company, I recognized that early on that those blinders were deliberately holding me back from making money and from building a profitable company and a more solid architecture platform technology-wise. So because of that, I've been spreading myself in all different directions, trying to figure out like what is the best tool to build proper production grade software. That's been the thing that has been my sort of like core driving force. This is the adjacent mission. So that's been my mission. And I'm sharing this to say that while we're doing this vibe coding, and for vibe coding 101, I'm going to try to help people that haven't necessarily done vibe coding to the level that I've done it on, or if you have done it better, share your experience. I also want to talk to the sort of the seasoned developers, the people that are like locked in their lane, doing their sort of just development day in, day out, to show them a slightly different way of building software. And that's the goal. So there's two adjacent goals, right? But that's, like I said, I just wanted to take it to a couple minutes, just 10 minutes or so, just to really talk about that, because I think it's really important that you understand what's my driving force and what's my mission and why I'm going to be showing up here every single Friday, 1 p.m. to make that happen. I'm really happy that this is working for you. I really am. Like, I'm going to do a recap of it for anybody that's new and trying to figure out like what kind of strategy. I'm also working on trying to put together a community so that we could share ideas and even collaborate on things that are working and not working. Stay tuned for that. I don't have the details right this minute because I'm still working through the details. But I am interested in, if you want to raise your hand and say, hey, I would love to join your community. It's just going to be a very tight-knit, close community where we could just share things that are working. Tell me the projects that you're working on, because this YouTube format is not necessarily the best for that kind of stuff. What are the projects that you're working on, the ideas, what problems you're running into? And my goal is to hopefully help you through that as much as I possibly can. And like I said, the goal is to make money. I want to be clear with that. So I'm not interested on this channel on chasing the latest and the greatest all the time. Sometimes you're going to see me using slightly older stuff. Why? Because number one, I haven't gotten caught up to it, or number two, I haven't evaluated whether it's going to speed up that process of making me money. That being said, if you have ideas and you have suggestions on things that you think we should do to improve, by all means, bring it. Okay, yeah, I'm really happy to hear that's been working for you, Ramon. So let's just talk about what this process is. Let's just talk about that. We're on week 2 here, and we're going to jump into code right after this, I promise. And we'll talk about what we're building. But let's just talk about the process again, which is very clear. And I'm going to formalize all of this stuff in documents so that you guys have it. But my process has been this. We already understand that an LLM needs context. They need context in order to understand what is it that we're doing. So that's very obvious. I believe the fastest way to put context into the model is by voice. So you basically sit down, have a chat with ChatGPT on your phone, and just basically just talk to it like a conversation, like just have a lengthy conversation about what is it that you're building, what your mission is, what your goal is, why you're building it, how you're building it, the entire thing. That is step number 1. And this step here allows you to just offset your thoughts without thinking about software. So that is the clear step here. And I'm presuming that this is what you're talking about. Number 2 is, once you've done that, is to explain to ChatGPT or Claude. I use ChatGPT because I think it's just really good at this type of stuff, or Gemini if you want. Number 2 is just get it to formalize those thoughts. Formalize your thoughts. And by formalizing, I mean making sure that it takes the raw conversation and just tell it, hey, can you now, based on our conversation, take those details and put it into a document for me? And that document in this particular case will be, document there is a project requirements document, okay? And for the beginners or the people that are just joining that don't know what a PRD is, it's simply a document that outlines all of the requirements that you're gonna need to build your application. And it's just a glorified document. So what I've been doing is pairing that PRD with a few other documents because I believe that it gives the model more context. And Ramon is my first test or suggestion that this is working properly. So the next thing you want to do is you want to get a feature document. The feature document is really just so you could, at a high level, know all of the features that you want this application to have. So let's just say, for instance, you had 20 features that you want to build out, okay? For you to get an MVP, a minimum viable product, something that you could ship to customers, you want to figure out, like, of those 20 items, what are the most critical, the things that if I were to sign up somebody tomorrow, they would want and they would get immediate value from. So in other words, this here, your MVP is your time to value, TTV, right? So your time to value. What are the things in this list, your sub list, that you could get time to value for a customer? And again, the goal here, as I mentioned to you, is money. What is the thing that's going to get us the fastest win? So of that, it might be your top 5. So we're going to take the top 5 out of that 20. Okay. And that's the thing that we're going to basically work on. We're just going to hyper focus on that top 5. And we'll talk about the mission a little bit more on that front. So now that I have my top 5 features, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a task list. What is a task list? The task list is essentially everything for each one of those 5 features. Let's say 1 item, 2 item, 3, etc. Right? I'm going to have a series of tasks related for each of them. And this is a separate document. So the task list is super, super important because the task list will also contain the checklist. And that checklist will be so that every single time we feed the information into the model and the model completes a task, it's going to come back and update the task list. This is super important. Because if you don't get this right, then the model just starts doing things all over the craziness and it just loses its context. So this is essentially what we're doing, is we're building memory, virtual memory. And then last but not least, this is a thing that I see most people it's not even on their radar right now. I've looked at the spec-driven Spec Kit, which I'm going to do some more videos on. I've looked at the BMAD, which I'm just learning about BMAD, which is this new way of doing spec-driven development. And it has some cool, promising agenda. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Right now, we're in beginner level, so I want to keep things beginner friendly for everybody. But there's some videos that's going to be coming specifically on those things. And I'm going to compare it to what I've built in comparison to what those guys have built. And I'll tell you where my model breaks down, and I'll tell you where I think there's Excel. With that, on the task front, the thing that, task, yes, is this, sorry, the last thing that we want to make sure that we get is a style guide, right? And this is really important. It's something that's missed, right? So obviously the style guide talks about the colors and it talks about the buttons and the labels and all that kind of stuff, but it's really just so that we could get the model and keep it on track to make sure that it doesn't fall off the wagon. That's the important part about it, okay? What you're really trying to do is we're trying to take those documents, right? So we're going to take our PRD, our feature list, our task list, and our style guide. We want to make sure that it doesn't matter if you're using Claude or you're using Gemini or you're using Claude CLI or you're using Cursor, etc. They're all going to have some sort of entry-level file. That entry-level file is like their context. So in the case of VS Code, it's their GitHub Copilot instruction. So it's like GitHub, and I want to write it out because I can't write. GitHub Copilot instructions file. In the case of Anthropic or thing, it's their Claude CLAUD.md file. In the case of OpenAI, it's agent nts.md. Okay, so they all have their version of a file. Now, I think the industry is slowly starting to converge on agents.md. In fact, let me just look at that MD. Okay, so agents.md is OpenAI sort of format. And there's a few people, see Cursors in there, there's a couple others, but it's trying to open source or come up with a standardization for this, but it's not a standard yet. It's not like the MCP. It's not a full standard as yet. It really depends on which platform you're in. You're going to create that file. I'm in the VS Code space because VS Code is like the dominant player in this here, and the tools have caught up. Their tools weren't necessarily the best, but it's caught up. So I'm using that. And basically what you want to make sure you do is that in that document, it has all the details about the project. It's going to outline the full list of all the different projects and the folders, etc. That's what that document is going to contain. And it's also going to have a link to each one of these documents, your feature, your task list, and your style guide, so that whenever it's creating task or whatever it is, that is always referencing it. And so that's the third step there, right? Step 3 is just basically making sure that they're all linked together. So that's where we left off. That's the process that Ramon is talking about. So with that, let's jump into what we built so far in terms of actual tools, because the tools are things. So I will take a little bit more time for educating and making sure that we're all roughly on the same page. So for the more advanced people, the more senior developers that kind of know this stuff, just bear with me on that one. I just want to make sure that we cover the basics. All right. Hey, got another love of VS Code. Codename Zulu. Welcome, man. Welcome. Yes, VS Code is awesome. VS Code is, listen, here's what I'll tell you about this. Microsoft has built the best developer platform, period. They own that space for a really long time. I've been using Visual Studio, not VS Code, Visual Studio since 1999 or something like that. No, I wasn't a programmer thing. I was just dabbling and doing a bunch of stuff there, but I have. And fast forward to the .NET era, I've used that tool for 20 years. It is so comprehensive. I've used it for 20 years, and honestly, if I know 10% of that tool, I know a lot. Okay, it's that thing. However, they were losing the game of IDEs because the web transform and all the cool kids, whatever the deal is. And fast forward, Atom came out. Believe it or not, actually, Atom came out. Fun fact for you guys, Atom was the birth of all of this craziness, and Atom was from GitHub. They built a better IDE, and then VS Code saw that, and they were like, hey, we cannot lose to this. There was Atom, there was Sublime. The point is, Microsoft saw that they were going to lose the IDE war, and they decided to completely revamp their tool, and they built VS Code. And a lot of the shortcuts, pretty much all of the shortcuts in VS Code are identical to Visual Studio grandfather. So it was an easy transition. Code just do well. But anyway, I digress. The point is, VS Code is a fantastic tool. That being said, though, in this AI world, we're at that point again where Microsoft is realizing that we're losing developers to Cursor and Windsor and Cloud Code and you name it deal. So those guys are running an all cylinder right now, playing catch up and trying to move past. and they want to be the leader. So I promise you, they will not sleep on this. And that's the reason why, honestly, even I have Cloud, I have Cursor, I have all the others on my computer. I just focus on VS Code because I trust that Microsoft, first of all, they got the money in the back end to do it.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Stop. Sorry. So the one thing that I know is that they're going to put all of their forces behind it because they understand that they have to keep developers in their ecosystem. It's just that simple. And there's money there. So they're going to do it. So for that reason, I'm not saying the Cloud VS Code will win the battle. I'm just saying that for what I need to do, VS Code just satisfies it. And I experiment with the others because I'm curious and I want to know what the differences are. But for day-to-day, everyday, yeah, VS Code. Like when you start paying attention to the industry, you see what's going on, you could see what's happening. But I've seen this trend before. This movie is not the first time for Microsoft, and they know the game, so they'll stick to their thing. So anyway, I digress. Let's just talk about Cloudflare. So we're going to switch over to our what we're building. So what are we building? Last week what we started with is we're gonna vibe code because it's cache. Yes, 100%. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the comments, but yeah, no, you're spot on the money. VS Code, Cloud Code, Serena MCP, you're gonna have to tell me about that one. MC Context 7 I know about, but you're gonna have to tell me about Serena MC. That's interesting. That's cool. Okay. And it's again, this is why we're doing this, because we're learning from each other, right? And I want to be clear. I'm the one that's streaming, but I'm not the expert here, right? You guys are sharing your thoughts with me and you're sharing the things that you like, and yeah, so we're going to learn from each other. Okay, let's try to jump into principles here. So the other part of this entire conversation is around Cloudflare, right? And what's going on with Cloudflare, what's happening there. The way how I'm trying to build an application is to make this application, at least the first part, the front end part of it, as generic as possible. So whether you're a JavaScript developer or you're a PHP developer or you're a Rails developer, you could get value from how to build out the first part of your application, and then you could do the backend part the same as everybody else, just using your favorite developer platform. So with that, there's a couple of tools that I've been hyper-focused on all together and to make this happen. We're going to jump into code in a bit. I just want to level set for the sort of newer people. The first one is for brainstorming. We use ChatGPT. We mentioned all that. ChatGPT doesn't give us all those .md files. So that's fine. GPT. This is for the brainstorming part of it. So that's clear. The second thing is, once we got the brainstorm, is we want to do the UI. And the UI piece is the part that honestly I'm still not 100% on, okay? Have a system, but it can be optimized a little bit more. I just saw some new stuff that Figma is doing in this space. I haven't necessarily played around with it. They literally just launched it yesterday and I looked at it. There's some cool things that they're doing in this space, but there's a problem if you're not a Next.js developer, because all of the code right now that's coming out from these LLMs are Next code. However, if you're not a Next developer, you have to do a little bit more of a dance and hoop to get things run. So the best tool that I've found so far to get this done is Google Stitch. G-L-E, and it's Stitch. I want to make sure we get that right. S-T-I-C-H. Let me just make sure, because I keep mentioning Sketch and Sketch. Google S-T-I-T-C-H. Yes. So Google Stitch. And what Google Stitch does, which is we built last week, is it just gives you pure HTML, CSS, okay? And that's super important because then, let me see, upload video platform. This is what we were working on last week, right? So because of that, I can now take that and I could get the actual pure, where is it? Where are we? Here. I can get the pure code, pure HTML, okay? So in this particular case, Tailwind has won the battle for the most part. I think everybody's kind of conversion now for the most part, but this will output for the most part pure HTML. And then once we have that UI layer properly outlined and thing, then obviously we're just going to just download it and bring it into our IDE. And the benefit of doing this again is that if maybe you're just a jQuery developer, I don't know, but the point is that you can just take this HTML and just work with it. All right. Or your Ruby Rails developer or your PHP developer. And for me, that's super important. It's important to do that because then we're not locked into an ecosystem of one specific way to do things altogether. But more importantly, you can get control over one of the hardest things to get these models to do right is to build you. When you try to do that, I'm sure you guys have experienced this. When you try to build the application and then you try to tell it to add this functionality and do the UI at the exact same time, right? Oh no, I don't want this here. Can you move this button there? But then it messes with the code and then it breaks something. And as you get into this messy layer, you want to just separate that process altogether. And Google Stitch, while not perfect by any means, it's not perfect, but it does give you a fair bit of control over and if you don't like a screen, you can replicate it, edit it a little bit, and then continue until you get it more or less right. Like it's, and I'll show you what I mean by it's not perfect. So for example, like I told it to put the orange button at the top, and it basically put the orange button at the top for 2 of them, but not this one. It put a search box here. And at the same time, it also have one with this profile here, and this profile is different, and this profile is different. So it's not perfect, but that's okay, because we're not looking for perfect here. We're just trying to get accelerated speed in development. And we can now take that header, break it up into a component, take the video place, break it up into a component, take the sidebar piece, break it up into a component, and keep moving, right? Because that's what we're trying to do, is push that sort of speed in place. So that's the mission. And so the other tool that I've been using consistently to get things done is basically just Bolt for scaffolding, right? BOLT.NEW. We could argue about this one here, but Bolt is the only one that I find is good enough and generic enough, at least for Nux. I could only speak for Nux and UXT. I tried it to do it with .NET. It doesn't really do a good job. There's other tools here. But really and truly, you just need something to just get all the scaffolding out of the way, SCFFOLD, right? So that we can move forward a little bit more. And then once we get that out of the way, next thing we're into is obviously GitHub, right? So that's the obvious. And then Cloudflare. Okay. You will not see me try to talk about any other platform because I've used them all. And frankly, they don't compare to Cloudflare. Now, they might compare in terms of speed of getting a website up. But when it comes to building real world production grade type application, I did a video on this on my channel talking about why Cloudflare not only is the future, but why it sits perfectly in between Netlify, Heroku, etc., and the Azures and AWS of the world, and why it's in a solid position to really take off. I believe that in the next year, Cloudflare will take off in a way that you guys haven't seen. I promise you on this. With the AI revolution that's happening and the speed at which Cloudflare is building out infrastructure and the scale at which they already are operating on, they could innovate in ways that, frankly, the Googles and the Amazon, the AWS and the Azure of the world are going to have to scramble to catch up to. And people are going to flock to Cloudflare as a result of it. I promise you this. That's the reason why I'm bullish on that. Not to mention, it's just a fantastic platform altogether. So yeah, anyway, we've level set enough. Hopefully, like we've caught up on where we are. So let's just dig into the details. We're half an hour in here and I want to focus on things. So what are we going to be talking about today? What's the mission? What's the goal? Today, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit more deep dive because we've already done this last week. I normally take down the live. So this is the live that I did last week. It's now listed as unlisted. And what I did is I reposted it as a video on my actual channel. So it's actually here, okay? So if this is new to you and maybe there's a couple concepts that you're missing or you're not following along too tightly, go watch this video. It's literally week 1. And it just gives you all of the details that I'm glossing over here. Next week, we won't even go through this recap in this way. We're just going to dig deeper, right? Because my goal is when we jump on these live streams, that we're progressing just an insane amount of knowledge in a really fast amount of time. So you're going to have to play a little bit of catch up. All of the code that I generate or we put together, it's going to be publicly available on my GitHub. I'm going to be more organized next week. I promise you guys on listing all of this stuff and the links and all that kind of stuff. Right now, it's like we're just trying to get our bearings with this live streaming thing. But all of that is going to be on channel in the videos with the links, etc. So you could go back and watch us. And last but not least, I know we're on the live stream right now and you guys are giving me thumbs up. Please give me thumbs up so that YouTube could share this out to more people. But more importantly, if you can do me one favor, this is me begging here for a little bit of support. Just come back and thumbs up the video that I post. In other words, actual video that is on the live channel, just go back and thumbs that one up for me. It helps. It really helps. As you guys know how this algorithm things work, right? So we got to spread the word as much as possible so people could find us. And this is one way to do it. And it'll mean a lot to me. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping there. For anybody that's new, go back and watch that video. It will go significantly slower on the first part of this process. What I did, and the reason why I hide the live video and then put that one out is because I've then trimmed it down. It was a 3-hour live stream. I've gotten it down to 2 hours. So I've just compacted it, stripped out all of my nonsense, the things that I say that are just crazy, and just stripped it down just so you could just get the value, right? Because we're on this channel, we're all about value. We're just like value, money, okay? That's the mission. So anyway, that's my commitment to you guys. Last week we had 10. This week we got 14. That is almost a 50% increase from last week. Hey, welcome. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and think. Okay, enough of the promotional craziness. Sorry, I just got to do that because it's the business of YouTube. Okay, so what have we done? We built this application here. We got to go in. In fact, let me just drop it in the chat so at least you guys have it just in case. So if you want to pull down that project, how do I do that? I have no idea. Where's the chat? Show chat. Yeah, there we go. There. Okay, so I just dropped that in the chat just in case. However, this is going to change this URL. Why? Because there's a couple of things. Actually, we're going to talk about that because we want to get a little bit more deeper. We're going to start getting technical here right now. And I promise you guys, like I said, week after week, we're just going to jump in faster on the technical. We're going to skip all this fluff, but we're new, so we got to start from the basics. As I start doing development, I've recognized a couple problems with doing development at scale. One of them is if you're going to build a really large scale development, actually, you know what? This article was a good one because somebody asked me this question here and I linked to it here. Okay. If you're going to build a really large application, you're going to end up with an architecture that looks like this. Okay. And that's what we're moving towards. Real production application has stuff. That's how I'm going to describe it. Sort of entry level people. This is what we're building. Now, obviously, there's lots of complexities here, but I just want to be clear that this is what we're building. We're not building entry level application that day 2 you put it up and it just starts breaking left, right, and center because of problems. So that means we're going to have to be a little bit deliberate in our choices in terms of how we build things, and it'll make us move a little bit slower because we're trying to do it right to begin with. And doing it right means that you're just going to have to take a little bit more time. You have to take a step back. You have to think about architecture. What I can promise you is that architecture, I'm solid on. At least I have a pretty good knowledge. I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty good at it because I've done it for a while, done it for large companies, etc. So this comes very naturally to me. So with this, there's a problem with doing vibe coding to build something like this. And that's what I want to talk about in this one. All right, so let's talk about it very quickly. So you got your front end. I'm going to put FE for front end. Okay, so this is your front end. All right. In all of the vibe coding stuff that I've seen so far, especially in the next world, if you go in NETJS, what happens is that when they write their front end code, these guys normally have another folder in here, and it might be /server or functions or something of the sort. In either case, what ended up happening is whenever they put their code inside of here and they put their database connection and all that type of stuff, when you do your deployment, so whenever this entire thing gets deployed, doesn't matter, you could deploy it to Netlify or you could put it to, or it doesn't matter, Cloudflare, it actually gets split. So there's a CD, it gets split. In Cloudflare's case, there's a CDN, okay? And then there's workers, okay? And the deployment somehow knows how to do that. Let's call it magic, okay? When you do that deployment, this is fine. Like most of these big applications do it because they want to share their code between the two platforms. However, this is not the world that I came from, and this is not the world that I've been trained to do more large scale development, etc. Because I'm going to be a little opinionated here and say that if you're doing a really large complex application, this is not the right way to go. This is my personal opinion on this. Somebody might argue different, okay? But I'm saying this because what ended up happening is, in my opinion, you have to think, okay, is this code being processed on server or is it being processed on the client? And you end up in this sort of mental model where you have to think about both of those two worlds. So for me, this is just not even an option. Like, I will never build an application like this, okay? I just want to be clear with that. So what is the recommended approach, at least in my world? I want you guys to build an application where you think about front end and its own thing. And front end, like front end is basically UI, okay? Your user interface, okay? It's its own thing, it's independent, etc. You're going to deploy front end independent of back end. They're not going to be connected. They're not going to be merged together. They're going to be independent of backend. And then you're going to have your backend project, BE. And this is basically your API. And in that particular case, they're going to talk to each other separately altogether. Because when I do a deployment, it's possible that I may do a deployment to fix a stuff and I'm not deploying to my backend. I don't want to have a world where I make a change on my front end because I think I'm fixing a bug. And then let's pretend for a second I made a change on my backend code and something broke, but I didn't realize it because I was too lazy to do some testing or whatever the deal is. And then I deploy my application and next thing front end and back end is broken, or just back end or whatever, right? That's the thing that I'm trying to avoid. So we're going to separate these entities. Now, that being said, though, there's a problem. And this is the problem that I run into of recently while I start doing this vibe coding, which is if you separate these two and you're doing vibe coding, let's put this as LLM, large language model. Pick your choice. Claude, OpenAI, doesn't matter. Okay. When you open up this application, GitHub knows about this application and it could talk and solve problems for this application. However, there's sometimes where you need the context of this application also in that document, in that context window, to solve either a UI problem or a backend problem. If you separate the code like this, then how do you deal with this problem of getting the context in? And honestly, the way that I've been solving it for probably the last year is I would literally just copy the code from here. I would put it into ChatGPT and I would get ChatGPT to kind of summarize it in a way that makes sense. Then I would copy it and I put it back into this model so I could basically put it to the LLM. Okay, that's how I've been just working around this problem. And I've built a 200,000 plus line application doing exactly that. However, of recent, I've come to the conclusion that is not the right way to do it properly. And in order to do it, we're going to build a monorepo. Okay, I got 11 people in the chat. Anybody who's heard of a monorepo? I just want to just level set. We're going to still cover it, but I just want to know who's heard of a repo. Just put some ones in the chat. If you've heard of monorepo before, put a 1 in the chat. If you haven't heard about it, put a 0. So while I wait for that, what the monorepo is basically just one folder. We're going to have one folder, and that folder will have multiple folders inside of it. And I literally like to call one folder front end. Okay, I got a 0 from Aaron. Anybody else? If you've heard of a monorepo, put it in the chat. If you haven't heard about it, if you heard about it, put a 1. If you haven't heard about it, put a 0. Okay, so with that, I see Savant says, oh my goodness, I don't know, C. Kumar. Hopefully I got that right. And thanks for that. Thanks for the feedback. So the monorepo, we're going to literally have one folder. This is a top level folder here. Okay, Rama says a 1 as well too, so that's good. So we got front end, and we're going to have a folder underneath. We're going to call it front end. Literally, we're going to call it front end. And then we have another folder and we're going to call it backend. You could call this any single thing that you want. This is just a way to separate things. Essentially what I'm saying is that this front end is my application layer. I'm going to put code inside of here that is related to application. And then on my backend side, I'm going to put code related to my APIs here. Okay. And I'm going to show you a real world example of this. Okay. I'd say about 300,000 lines of code. And I'm going to show you that right now because I just want to be like, this is a recent, like when I say recent, like a week ago, I did this because I recognized that there's a problem and I've been trying to solve this model. And it turns out that Google, Facebook, Microsoft, they all do this to work with it to address this kind of problem when you're dealing with like larger applications. In my vibe coding, I found this to be the best way to address this problem, which we're talking about right now. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, this is a little bit more complex, but it's just to give you an idea. Okay. All right. So I got a folder. This is like real world project here. This is not like fun and games type stuff. It's literally called monorepo. I just named the module called monorepo. I got it this separated as API, so slightly different from front end, back end for a couple of reasons. I got API, I got app, I got clients, I got database, I got docs, I got packages and scripts, and then tests. This brand new sort of structure. So I've just been bringing them and just add on to the API layer because I'm still deploying stuff to Azure. Going back to this diagram that I showed you guys at the start, where is it? This one here. In my world and in your world, as we start to build out, we'll see this problem here. There's going to be places where Azure Cloudflare is just not good. And we're going to have to find alternative solutions. So when we're doing that, we're going to build stuff on other platforms. You'll pick your choice, whether it's Azure or AWS or Google. But for the most part, we're going to try to stick in this Cloudflare world. However, in my world, for some of the larger applications, and because it's legacy code, I have some Azure stuff as well too. Yeah. So I have an API folder, but the API folder has containers, it has functions, and it has workers, obviously, for Cloudflare functions. I got multiple projects inside of there because I got a bunch of .NET stuff. Containers is a bunch of newer stuff related to, I think this is just a test folder at this particular point. But that's how I'm breaking out the project. Now, the question is, why am I doing this? Like, why am I taking all these applications and pushing them into one project altogether? Let me give you another reasoning. So if you're vibe coded, you're going to run into a problem that I've talked about on my channel, but I'm going to talk about here briefly, which is context problem. As you build up more complexity in your application, you're going to end up with a case where you just have lots of context that you need to send to the LLM. And when you do that, you're going to end up with a case where you need reference from the backend, etc. So essentially what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take a backend, we're going to take our monorepo, and we're going to put a master git branch, GitHub folder. And that GitHub folder will have like a PRD. It'll have an outline of the entire project structure. It'll have a document representing each one of those projects inside, so we can reference it to the top level. And so when we do it this way, when I go in to write code at this application level here, I can program on two levels. I can either, if I have to do something very specific to front end, I go down to the front end folder and I only program within that folder. But if I have to do something across projects, then I come up to the application level tier and I program at that level. In other words, when I write code here, I'm writing code at this level, and this Copilot understands the structure of all of the different flavors of projects that I have across the entire ecosystem. So why are we doing this? We're doing this for separation. Number one, we're doing this so that we can deploy independently, right? We want to make sure that we're deploying our front end independent of our back end. That's very important. And also, we want to make sure that the LLM basically allows us to share context, AI context between the two. So hopefully we've gotten that. We got to write some code, but I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Just to jump back, this folder structure is going to change. We're going to put it as a monorepo, and we're going to have every single week project inside of that one folder so that we can reference things back and forth. Okay. All right. Let's do some coding, shall we? We're an hour in now, and we haven't actually done anything. We've just been chatting the whole time. But like I said, we got to go a little bit slow so we can go faster for people that are new to the channel, getting caught up, trying to understand this stuff. I want to make sure that I've been following the monorepo pattern, didn't know the official term. Oh yeah, that's funny. The monorepo pattern, didn't know the official term. English is not my primary language. That's totally cool, man. Welcome. Just so you know, English is not my first language either. Actually, that's not true. English is my first language. I have no excuse. I just don't know it well. So that's good to know. So yeah, but monorepo, that's the terminology. And if you want to go to sleep at night, do Google monorepo paper. There's a whole paper in a single, see why Google stores billions of repo in a single repository. If you really want to do a deep dive on this, they have a paper that kind of talks about it, and it goes deep. Now, here's the thing that these guys don't tell you, okay? They do this stuff, Google, Microsoft, and the thing. They don't use GitHub. This is the last thing I'll say about this, okay? They don't use GitHub. I'm positive that my application will scale within GitHub because GitHub handles a fairly large, complex application. But when you get to like Google and Microsoft or whatever, GitHub is too slow for them. So they actually have their own independent sort of repo type of structure, which they don't share with the world. Typical sort of like corporation, right? We'll keep all the stuff for ourselves and whatever. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, no, good to you know that, that's basically what a monorepo is. All right, so let's go back to this application. Finally, we're getting around to coding. Let's write some code. We're not here to chat the whole time, man. Where are we? So I'm going to pull up this guy, npm run dev. So where did we leave off the last time? Okay, and again, I promise you we're going to go faster before next time, but just got to level set. Make sure everybody's there. 11 people watching. That's fantastic. Again, guys, give me a thumbs up if you are getting value from this. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Again, I got to just do the YouTube spiel here. And this is the back end, not the front end. Right. Actually, you know what? Let's practice what we preach. So let's practice what we preach because we just talked about monorepo. Then I'm going to not do a monorepo with you guys. So we got the two projects. We got a database platform and then we got the video platform. So we're just going to call it Vibe Coding 101. And then we're just going to take these two, just going to drag it in there. It's that simple. Okay, there, that's your monorepo. Now we're going to do one step further. Like I said before, we're going to create a front end. We're going to do different weeks. We're going to end up doing different projects, but it's okay. We're going to do it this way. So we're going to do front end. You don't have to do front end, back end. You could name it any single thing you want. I'm just trying to keep it simple for everybody to understand. All right. I don't want to do like API and all this kind of stuff. I want to just keep it simple. Front end, right? So feel free to do that. And again, we're going to push this up into GitHub repo and the different things. So this is the front end. This is the back end. Okay. Then we're going to open this one up. Oops. What is this? This quit code. There we go. Okay. So we got our front end, we got our back end, and that's so it thinks, right? Now, the best way to deal with this type of stuff is when you think it, like there's tools that can deal with like workspace and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to get that complicated. We're just going to do one simple thing. We're just going to come in here. We're just going to do CD and we're going to say YouTube and we want to, I'm in that folder. I'm in front end, back end folder. So ls-l. I'm using the terminal. You don't have to use the terminal, but just to set context, you could just do CD. Let's go to front end, and CD ls, let's say YouTube, right? So YouTube platform. And then I want to actually open this one directly. So I'm just going to do code here. I'm just going to open that folder directly. So I'm still doing the exact same thing, except that I'm just doing it. I'm working underneath that context. So if I need to work across the layers, I work on this particular project here that I can see front end and back end together. If I'm just working on one application, a layer, I just do just the one basic one, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So where are you at? There. Yeah. Okay. So let me move this over here so I don't get confused by it. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. So we're gonna run this guy here just to see what we have. npm run dev. By the way, we're all on database and backend stuff today, mostly. So that's where we're at, but we have to run dev. Okay. So this is the platform that we built. And just to make sure or level set with everybody, what are we building here? We're building a video platform that allows a corporate network, like a company, to have like the corporate videos. So think of private YouTube. That's what we're building. We're building this, one, because I actually need it. And two, we're building it because it's actually a really good platform that has enough use cases that we could just sell this. And by all means, when I build this and I give it away to you guys, if you want to take this further and actually sell it, by all means do that. Part of this channel will be to show you how you could actually start selling this stuff. Okay. I've failed a lot with sales. I'm not very good at it, but I've learned a bunch of stuff also. So that's the goal, right? Money. I want to be clear with that. That is the mission. We have the upload page working, and then we have the search page working, and then there's a details page, but for some reason the navigation doesn't work. So we're going to try to fix that as well. We have a drop-down menu, which is good. We got some notifications. Now we're gonna end up building a front page for it so that you could sign up. We're going to try to connect this to Stripe also, right? We're going to do the whole thing. That's what we're building this for. If you guys got other ideas, we'll try to build this out. But that's basically what we're going to try to do. So let me figure out what's the best thing to do here. Let's go look at our PRD because, again, we're vibe coding. We got a task list that we need to follow for our MVP. Okay, so let's go look at our PRD, see what we got, where we are left off, right? Because we're trying to do real software development. So we didn't start just randomly coding stuff. We said we're going to build an MVP, and so we're going to build it according to the specifications that we've already outlined. By the way, those additional documents I talk about, your task list and all that kind of stuff, they're sitting in the docs folder because also there's a changes folder. We told the model to update your changes and put them inside of here so that as it goes along, it can keep track of those changes and then it's referencing those changes in somewhere inside of here. All right. But like I said, this is what a PRD looks like. It has all the different pieces. So let's just go look at our task list. We know exactly what we're doing. So we got the basics. Okay. So we haven't done the cloud part, the key value bindings. We didn't really do that. We did do the database. So let's just go look at that quickly. Pull that up. So we did create a database last week. Cloudflare again. Okay. Then let's do this. Cloudflare workers. And then open up a new. There we go. Okay. So we have this guy here. Okay. And just notice my account ID is also there too. 1 second. Yeah, Cloudflare does some weird stuff. So I'm just trying to not, I don't think it's really that big of a deal, but just for the sake of being proper. I use this tool called Zero Blur. And what it allows me to do in real time, it actually allows you to blur certain things on the page. I'm just doing that just for the sake of just trying to be a little secure on the internet as much as I can. It's not 100% required. But so we did create the worker and we did do the deployment. This is the database backend platform. And we also have a database. Where's that? Storage. Okay. So we have this guy here and we did create the tables. Where are we? Sorry, explore data. Yeah. Okay. So we do have tables, we just don't have anything inside of it. Okay, so if I do like star from video tags F5, no, run, control F5, yeah. So we got nothing. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try to see if we can just populate this backend with some data so that we can at least think. So in other words, we have some dummy data locally in our application. We're going to try to see if we could push that out together. By the way, if you guys got any questions, just let me know. I'll try to see if I could answer them also. So I was going to ask about the Zero Blur tool. Oh yeah, that's the name, right? It's a really good tool. It helps me to somewhat protect myself on the internet. But yeah, so if you do this, you just click on edit and then you click on this guy here. And if you say, you know what, I don't want to show this, I just click on that and there, bam, it's blurred. It's pretty cool, huh? It's just one of those things that it just helps you just be a little thing. And what's cool is that it'll remember if you navigate away from that page and come back, it remembers exactly what's being blurred. So it doesn't go away until you either disable the extension. So every time I come live, I try to just blur some stuff out. It's not 100% thing, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a separate account specifically for this here. But yeah, it's the internet, so you never know. All right, see all these domain names and stuff like that. I got too many stuff. The only downside is that it does do a little bit of blur before it comes back in, but definitely check it out. Really good tool. Where are we? Database. Yes, so we got a database. Okay, so with that, we're going to try to see if we can populate some data into this very quickly. See if we can get some actual real world data in. So let's do this guy. And we already have a data with some dummy data. This guy, Okay, so we're going to take that. And just on a side note, and there's an extension that allows you to color code your VS Code. But one of the problems I actually do is I end up running into problems where I put the wrong prompt in the wrong project. This has happened to me so many different times, like I'm actually ashamed to admit it. So the tip for that is, which I haven't done here yet, but I'll do it for next week, is you basically color code the tab of Visual Studio. So at least you could remember red is for this project, blue is for this project kind of deal. And the way how that works is there's a settings, VS Code settings, so you could just drop it in. Just in case you want to go explore that on your own. I didn't do that for this project, but I will for future ones. So where's our, oh, we got to open up our project as well. Sorry, we got one more housekeeping thing to do here. Come on. So this is, actually, I think this project is now not here anymore. That's why. Right. So we got to go back to cd ... front end. We got to go to back end and then, so database project. Okay, so we're just opening up that in its own little window by itself. Okay, I'm going to make it full screen so at least I can keep jumping in between them. Yeah. Okay. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to take that JSON, we're going to drop it inside of here, and we're going to say, can you populate, can you run it? Let's just do it this way. Oops, I forgot to don't have a Whisper. By the way, Whisper, fantastic tool. This tool here, it's called Whisper. For the people that are on a Mac, I'm on a Mac right now because I think they do have a Windows version. It's important. Next week, we're just going to start coding. I won't even wait for you guys to jump online. Wise flow. Just in case, oh my goodness. WISPR flow. The free version is pretty good. It'll get you so far, but I actually pay for the pro version and it's phenomenal. Highly recommend it. And again, I'm not affiliated with any of these tools. I'm just sharing you guys what have helped me to vibe code in a much better way. Because the most important thing is that, where is it? It's up here. What it does is when you open it up, it remembers all of your chat and you could just go back and copy whatever you recorded. So I just do that and I press the function key button. All right, I press the function key button. We're going to do that right now. So I'm going to say, hey, can you please take this JSON and then populate some data inside of my database? Write a script that will basically do that so that I could populate it, pre-populate it with some random data. Right. So what I did, if you notice, I just basically pressed my function key, had it type into Whisper, submit the prompt, and that's about it, right? So it just allows me to just keep talking while I talk to you guys at the same time. Hey, we still got 11 people in. So started streaming 73 minutes ago. We're doing pretty well here. So like I said, give me a thumbs up. I only see one thumbs up. Come on, guys. Please, come on. Only see one thumbs up on the YouTube, on the tube. If you're getting value, please give me a thumbs up. It helps, right? Try to promote this as much as possible, get people subscribed to the channel. But like I said, I'm trying to give you guys real world, real production type stuff. I'm not trying to give you something that's, okay, you know what? We're going to vibe code lovable application. And then it's like nobody knows what to do with it. We're building production grade application here. So that means that we're going to take a little bit more time and build things up. Who's on Windows? 1 for Windows, 2 for Mac. I'm curious. We got 11 people in here. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Oh, you got both. That's good. That's good. So Windows, 1 and a 0. I'm on both. I'm on both, by the way. I have both Mac and computers. I'm a diehard Windows fan, but honestly, I gotta be real. Microsoft has been dropping the ball on some things. Actually, their dev platform is pretty solid today, but of lately, there's just been some cool tools coming out in the Mac world. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna sit in the Mac ecosystem. And frankly, I was never really a Mac developer. In fact, I hate a bunch of stuff. I don't use that word lightly. I don't use hate as a word in my vocabulary. But over in Dominican Republic, oh, hey man, another Caribbean person. Welcome. That's actually what. Where are you guys from? That's actually a really good question. That's actually really good to know. Where are you guys from? Who's from? Somebody was from here from last week from Toronto. I know, what's his name? So you're from Dominican Republic. Codename Zulu. Like, where are you from? Aaron, you're new this week here. How are you doing? Not certain where you're from as well too. But yeah, put it where you're from in the chat. It's good to know where you guys are from in part of the world. You're in my Eastern time zone or whatever. Wife and kids. I love Apple, but I can't stand Apple. Hey, I share the pain, okay? It's a love-hate relationship. From Texas, Dallas. Hey, Dallas, welcome. Listen, I'll tell you this, okay? The thing that drives me nuts. So I remember this. I'll tell you a story while all this stuff is generated, okay? I remember being on a plane, traveling from I don't know where. It doesn't matter. And I saw this person on a Mac and I saw her do something with the mouse. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I've never seen that on Windows. Like the movement of the windows was so cool. And then I noticed every time I saw a Mac person with their computer, they have these little windows just floating around all over. And I was like, what the hell is this? I think it only took me like 2 years ago when I got a Mac computer that I realized that the windowing system on Mac is just garbage. That's the only way I could describe it. It's garbage, okay? And being able to like just quickly just split a window. Now that's changing now because they're bringing out stuff, but this was back then. Split a window, half screen, or be able to like maximize it. It was just the only thing I like about the Mac system is when you put it full screen, you could do this sliding back and forth. And that I'm like, okay, you got me on that one. That's cool. But otherwise than that, I'm like, I get it. Like, it annoys the crap out of me that when I have a Chrome browser and I have 4 or 5 different browsers, I can't control tab to the browser that I want. So anyway, I digress. Oh, Toronto in the house. Hey, man. Welcome. I'm in Toronto, Oakville. Yeah, no, that's good to know. So we got 1 American, we got 1 Canadian, we got 1 Dominican Republic, and I know that Savant, I keep pronouncing your name, Sivak Kumar. I think I got that. He was from India. Hey, we got a wide tribe. I'll take it. Each part of the globe representing. Okay, so we got to populate data here. So let's just run this populate. Can you just run it? Oh, I could just do this. Okay, npm run populate. Okay. Just get it done. Okay, so all it's doing is just going to populate this data for me. It's going to run thing. But what is it going to do? Let's just go look at the code just to make sure that thing. So we're just going to populate db flush that data. So all we're doing is just basically just doing a sample, just an insert, okay, of the sample data. Yes, please do that. Wait, hang on. No, I don't want you to commit my changes. What are you doing here? We don't want to commit changes. That's not what I asked you to do. Sorry. Oh, get it done. That's funny. That's hilarious. Can you please, okay, you know what? We won't be lazy. We'll do it ourselves. Do you know about Bun? I've been using Bun a lot lately. Bun run dev. I think I'm using Bun here. Yeah, there we go. Or maybe not. I think I'm using npm here. So would like to report triangular. What am I missing here? Oh, I'm getting some errors here. Let's just clean this up. Yeah, I've been switching over to Bun just because their claim is that it's 100% compatible with NPM, and NPM has been fine for me, honestly, except for sometimes it just gets too bogged down when you have a really large project. You know what? It's funny. I've been using PMPM for a while now, and then I tried to use the workspace feature on PMPM to do the monorepo, and I put it up on Cloudflare, and Cloudflare just does not honor the monorepo with, actually I should talk about that, because when you're doing deployment through GitHub, Cloudflare doesn't seem to be honoring the monorepo setup, even though you have the right config and it's supposed to only deploy 1 project. In this particular case, the project that I have, it has 26 different projects. It's trying to deploy all 26, which I was like, no, I only need 1 deployed. So there's some problems there. That's why I was using PNPM. So as a result, I've decided to, you know what, I'm just going to do away with that strategy for now. PM is pretty good though. It's pretty solid. I can hear some too. The Copilot chat is running. Yeah, it's so annoying. I don't know what it is. I've been trying to find exactly where it is. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to lower the sound here. But oh my goodness, it's the most annoying thing. And I was like, I think they're doing it for accessibility or something. Sorry about that. I'm going to get rid of that sound. I didn't realize you guys were hearing it. But it's just, I'm like, what is this? What is this sound? Okay, so let's do that. And then we're going to populate. Okay, sleep TSU. Okay, so you're going to run the populate. Okay, let's go. All right, let's go see if we got some data. Disconnecting. You know what? It only happens if I'm in VS Code. It's only when I'm in VS Code. And GitHub Actions for PNPM firm repo. Let me just think about this one. So you know what? That's what I'm doing. However, it's a long story I won't get into right now. Deploying to GitHub with a monorepo, not a problem. That's what I have. It's trying to have an individual project from the monorepo. Actually, let me talk about that quickly while this stuff is going. We're just waiting on code to write right now. So let's just talk about that because it's actually a real problem. And I don't know if it's just a file the ticket with Cloudflare because I think it's actually on their side, but I might be wrong about that, but I'm waiting for a response. I haven't gotten a response on it as yet. Everything that I tried suggests otherwise, that it actually is a problem on their part. So it's like this. You got the monorepo, right? With all your different projects or whatever the deal is. You check it into GitHub, and then GitHub triggers an action, ACT, okay? And then Cloudflare, CF, is picking it up, okay? Now, when Cloudflare picks up the monorepo, it's obviously going to see all of the different monorepos. However, because I'm on a worker, I only want 1 single project to deploy. So essentially what's supposed to happen is if a change is made in this 1 project, that 1 project is the only project that will be triggered in the GitHub action. And then Cloudflare is supposed to only pick up that 1 project and then deploy it to its edge network. However, Cloudflare, what they're doing is in their CF pipeline is they basically pull down the whole repo and they're looking at the root. They look at the PMPM package and they say, oh, this is a workspace. It has 26 different projects inside. Therefore, I'm going to try to build all 26 projects and then I'm going to try to deploy all 26, which is now the case, which is that thing. So that's been the problem that I've been trying to get solved. Even though you can configure it in the settings and you tell it only to run this one specific folder, it's ignoring the settings and it just keeps doing it to the top. So I really believe it's a bug. I'm not 100% certain, but I filed a ticket with them to get that sorted out. So yeah, and maybe the window, not sure where I'm on it. I'm like really struggling. So maybe it's actually, I actually do believe it's an accessibility thing. I think what it did is they turned it on by default and then hope that people will just turn it off for the people that they don't necessarily need it. So I'm not knocking on what they're trying to accomplish. It's just, I'm like, I don't need this and there's no obvious way to turn it off. Like I chat GPT it. I was like, thinking this is so annoying. I can't listen to music and think at the same time. So yeah, it is what it is though. Now, if that's the only complaint that I have for VS Code, I'm like, you know what, we're good, we're fine. So do we have data? Let's go check if we have some data. So before we move forward, let's see if we could get some data in here and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we had some stuff happen and let's go explore and then videos, run. No data. What's going on? Just make sure. I'm just trying to see what's in here, if there's anything. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this thing is a little primitive. I'm accustomed to VS Code. I could do this. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Can I not highlight it? Yeah, I can. Oh, of course. Okay, that's fine. Let me comment it out. The Cloudflare tools are a little bit on the basic side. That's cool. Okay, so we got nothing inside of there, and we definitely don't have any tags inside of it. Try characters only happen. Try Pedro. Welcome. First name I'm seeing like this. So I think I pronounced it right. So try checking if it only happens when Copilot suggests you to run. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. But it just keeps going in the background. What's going on here? Why we got a database? Oh, sorry. Would you like a report to the Wrangler? Yes. And why did my script run? The database name is platform. Yes. What is the database name? Let me just make sure. This is the database name here. I don't know why it's looking for. Populating let me just check the config here, see what's going on. Yeah, that's correct. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Let me just make sure. So wait, I need to fix this properly. What are you doing? Good to fix this now. Simple approach. Let me just create a streamlined SQL file instead. Okay, let it run. I don't know why it's taking so long just to populate the database. You guys have any questions while this is going? Let's just give this less than 2 minutes or so. Yeah, any questions for me or any thoughts or anything that you want to share so far? Oh, 9 thumbs up. There, I had to refresh the page to see the thumbs up. There we go. Thank you. I appreciate that. If we get 1 more thumbs up, then we'll get 10 thumbs up, and that's a win. Any questions for me? Any questions or any thoughts process? What are you guys building? Who's building a real-world SaaS application right now? Who's trying to build something? Okay, there we got some data coming in. But while I still want to know the question, who's building something? Real-world application, or who's just here to learn? Put a 1 in the chat if you're building. Put a 2 in the chat if you're just learning. You're just curious. Actively building something. Where is okay, did this thing not say that it had data in there? Yeah, it did. Okay, so where is the data? Execute video count. It says 15. To execute your remote database, add a remote flag. Do I have another database? Let me just check what's going on here. D1 database. No, there's only 1 database. Queries, 21. Yeah, okay, so that's right. 12. Rows records. Read 12. Does it show me how many? Explore. So 1. Build in. Okay. I have a legacy project in my company and I decided to upgrade it using the workflow. I love it. Hey, kudos to you. Cool. It'll be cool to know what you're building. And I have a legacy project in my company and I decided to upgrade it using workflow. What's your tech stack? What's the tech stack of the legacy platform? I think you mentioned this last week. I'm curious, what's the tech stack? And why is there no data here? Tell me your tech stack. Let's just see what's going on here. I don't know why it's taking so long for us to just figure out how to get data in this thing. Okay, is this thing going off the rails? Because I'm trying to pay attention to you guys and I'm not really reading thing. And by the way, for vibe coding, it's actually really important you focus on what the AI is doing, because then I find that it helps you to keep a mental model as it's doing its thing. What I find is that if you take your brain off too much off of what it's doing, there's a cognitive load in terms of you having to come back to it to get caught up. So you're almost better off reading, even though we claim that these things can go off and do things on its own, which, by the way, I'm going to show you how to do some of that stuff later on next week, maybe, or the other week. We're going to try to speed this up by spinning off parallel type of workflows, but we're in the entry-level stages, so we're doing entry-level stuff. One of the things that I've definitely noticed, at least in my personal development, is for me to be able to do multiple things, I could probably only keep about 3 contexts at a time in my head. Normally it's a front end, normally it's a back end, and then it's like somewhat question, planning type of stuff. Any single thing more than that, my brain just goes haywire. That's been something that I've been trying to figure out how to balance. The other thing I've been experimenting with of lately, which we're going to talk about in some more future videos, is how do you like just spin off work, plan work and have them spin off in the background and then come back and review them the next day while you sleep or something like that. I still haven't figured out a good model for that yet. Oh, we got a .NET person in the house. Oh, 4.8. Ooh, don't know what to tell you there, buddy. Painful. A small one because it's only processes credit card transactions, web service, but lack a good because we use it for SSR reports. Got it. SSRS reports. What's SSRS reports again? SQL service. Yeah, there we go. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, I feel you. I have some thoughts about this though, by the way. The good news is, have you used the .NET migration wizard? Let's start with that. Okay, we got a technical person. I'm going to talk technical. Reporting service in Microsoft Stack. Yes, I got that. I knew what it was. I just couldn't remember the terminology for it. Just jump on your specific use case. Have you used the .NET migration tool? It's a little off topic, but hey, we're live and we can do whatever we want. It's our stream. Bear with me for 2 seconds, guys. This is a .NET guy, so this will go over most of you guys' head. So .NET migration. I've been using the modernize. Yeah, okay, great. Yes, the modernize platform. Yeah, the migration assistant. Yes, I presume it's this one. I'm hoping it's this one here. The modernize. So you're probably talking about the same thing. Yeah. I moved last year in application. It wasn't .NET. Wasn't .NET 4.8. But it was 3.1. So my process was, in fact, I have a video on this. Okay, let me see if I could find it for you. I don't know how far you are in the journey, but I have another channel called Dwain Unfinished that doesn't have a lot of stuff on it that I don't post as much on right now because it's a different audience. I'm going to end up posting back inside it here. But see this video here, I rewrote my startup with 200 lines of code, part 2. Might give you some context on how I did it and what I did. I don't know, to be honest with you, the truth is I actually don't know how good this video might help you, but there might be something of value here for you because I was talking about the set of stuff and then this was part 2. So part 1, I'm not certain if I actually this might have just been the AI portion of the tool, to be honest with you. Like it wasn't necessary but the migration. But that being said, I did do a migration upgrade of .NET with this tool. It got me I'd say about 80% there, okay? And then it had a bunch of problems. But I took the report and I put it into ChatGPT, and that helped me out quite a bit. Now, the thing that I'll tell you is this. I'm diverting here, but like I said, live stream. I got people more happy to talk about any single thing. So like I said, I run a Mac and a Windows. So this is my Windows computer. Get yourself VS Code 2026. Have you done this? Just put a 1 in the chat if you've done this. This tool here, VS Code 2026, phenomenal. The GitHub chat inside of here is really good, like very good. Like it's a completely different tool from the 2022 version. I was like, whoa, finally VS Code is caught up. The code that I write in Visual Studio on this platform is rock solid. It just works. Like it does a fantastic job. It's really solid. I use the agent mode and I use a Claude 4, Sonnet 4, and it's rock solid. Do not use Visual Studio 2022 if you can. Yes. Oh, WCF. Oh my goodness. I haven't touched a WCF project in a while. But listen, man, this will help you for sure. If you can download the 2026, you're using that too. Okay, great. Fantastic. You're on the right path. You'll get there. Just hang in there, buddy. It's a painful process, but when you do it, you'll feel so good. Listen, you come back here, you tell me, listen, man, I did it. It's a pain. Sympathize with it. But the good news is the AIs are really solid now if you just take chunks at a time and deal with the problem. I don't know if you're doing this, but I'm just sharing everything I have because I'm passionate about this stuff and hopefully you're doing it already. You figured it out. The one thing that I found is that's better if you go to the error logs, right? If you go to the error log, let's pretend that this was an error for a second. When you right click on it, copy the row, not the error message, copy the row and then paste that in because the chat, it puts in the row number and it puts in the stuff. And that was the game changer for me. I know it's like a small tip, but honestly, it was what actually made me this is my chat here. I didn't realize that. So if you paste that here, Control V, see here, it'll put in the actual row number and it'll put in the actual line and every single thing for the error message. It gives you a lot better error message. This here was a game changer. And I found that I would copy I didn't even know you could do this until I had this problem. At one point, I had about 400 or 500 errors in my code, and I would copy 10 or 15 or 20 of them at a time, and I would just basically get it to rewrite the whole thing. There's one other thing. I promise, guys, I'm going to get back on topic, but I just want to just help Ramon out in a second here. So the other thing that I used was the GitHub CLI, the GitHub Codex CLI. which is, believe it or not, it was actually really helpful. So where are we here? Totally off topic here, but I want to help you out, Ramon. I really do. So if I did this, okay, and what I did is I copied multiple of those errors, and then I would spin up a thing and I would just paste the errors in and just let it run by itself, and then I would do PRs on it. And that brought down, I was able to get 250 plus like legit errors completely just removed, and then from there just work through the others on my own. I know it's a production app, so you just got to be careful with things, but I've been able to do it, so I know it's possible. Yeah, let me see your message here. So I told you in another video that I have the same background as you. Yes, that's true. I apologize. You did mention that. It's hard for me to remember. I'm not accustomed talking to multiple people on the internet all at once, so I do apologize. I do remember you like 100%. Like I remember your face and I remember you. I just didn't remember that you were .NET specific. But anyway, yes. Sharing those, yeah, by all means, copy the part. It really helps when you copy the error message for sure. Anyway, back on track. Sorry, I just had to do that because it's like, I know the pain. I feel your pain loud and clear. Okay, where are we? Is this thing done? Like, man, really? Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, we might have to pay a little more attention to what's going on. I think it's just stalling now. Why are we in Git world? Okay, let me just stop this. This is where we're going off track. But this is why we're doing this live, right? Because I don't want to sell you guys snake oil. Like, we're going to deal with real world problems because the LLM is non-deterministic, which basically means that you could send in the same prompt multiple times and it will do multiple different things. It's just the reality of it, okay? So I just want to be real with you guys because I'm seeing too many things on YouTube where it's like people are just like selling snake oil. And I could see the game, right? There's a YouTube game which is like building followers. So it's like, oh, if you do these 10 things, you'll have the best AI and you start making money. And I was like, that sounds a reality for most people. So I just want to be real with you guys. I built applications. I know this stuff, but it's a grind. You got to work through the details. You got to pay attention to what's going on. So for any of the new vibe coders, it's super important that pay attention to what's happening. And by all means, learn some code thing. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well too. Okay, we got to get this application going, else there's no point in having these conversations if we can't have code and chat. Okay, let me just pay attention to what's happening here and then I'll try to figure out what's our game plan here. So select star wrangler from thing 5 limit. Perfect. Now let me commit all the changes. I don't know why you're trying to commit. I didn't ask you for that, but let me go see if there's data. If there's no data, then we got to really still no data. Okay, let me just say specifically not seeing any data in this and then see what's going on because I'm not certain what's happening. Do this. We're going to pay attention to what's going on. What are we using? 4? So I've been using 4. Well, let's try 4 or 5. I'm yet to review it, but let's just try it. I'm not seeing any data in this D1 database. Can you double check what's happening, run the script and populate the data? When I do a select star on Cloudflare, I'm not seeing any data. Can you confirm? This is the database name. Oops, sorry. There we go. Control V. Okay, let's see what's happening. Let's focus a little bit more here. Try to get some real code done. Like I said, next week, when we come, what are we going to do? I want to make sure I also get you guys a roadmap. I'm going to be a little bit more formal with it. Right now, we're just winging things a little bit. There's some effort that I'm putting in place to make sure that when you guys show up, you're getting value all the time, every time. And I promise to you is that we're going to try to cover things much faster. So let me just give you a quick roadmap while I'm waiting on that LLM to think. So week 1, we're just in like intro level, right? Vibe coding, literally 101, right? Week 2, which is where we are today, we're going to use these, which we talked about in a bit, setup, project setup, right? And then we did some database setup. Excuse the spelling, SETUP, right? Today we're supposed to be populating data, which isn't going accordingly. And then we want to basically be test connecting you to live data. So what I want to do is just make sure my build is okay, but you know what, we might end up just tabling this one, but I just want to talk about it for a second. Or basically your GitHub build, okay? And then we're going to touch a little bit about Cloudflare. So I'm going to try to push a little bit on the Cloudflare front because we haven't done that and most of you guys don't really know much about Cloudflare. So I want to make sure that every time we come on these chat, we're also talking about Cloudflare. So Cloudflare, it's called services. Okay. Next week, we're going to go a little bit more faster because we're getting over the hump of like having to do the intro. We're just going to assume that everybody that comes along, they're going to watch those videos. We're going to do a super recap on the previous week and then we're just going to really go hard on it. But what I'm really trying to get to on the next week is I want to touch authentication and I want to touch on sign up and Stripe. Okay. These are big topics. Okay. And my goal is basically we should have a landing page. Okay. We're just going to vibe code a landing page pretty fast. That's pretty easy. Everybody knows how to do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to see if we could get it sign up with authentication by authentication Auth0. We're going to use Auth0 is the one that I'm most familiar with, and it has a free tier. Just as a heads up, I'm actually personally moving over to Work OS just because I want to start touching enterprise level customers, and this has a better solution for that. But we're not going to go into that in this one. For the most part, Auth0 will get you guys going pretty far, and it's a reputable company, and it has a pretty good pricing tier as well too, free tier and upgraded tier. So we're going to do a landing page, we're going to set up the sign up page, and then we're going to talk about multi-tenant. In this conversation here, we got to do one thing. We need to talk about multi-tenant SaaS app. Okay, this is a big topic, but I want to cover it because basically what I'm hoping at is within this 3 weeks here, like you should be able to go from 0 all the way up till you got something, an MVP launch. That's the goal. And then on the last week, we're going to try to touch on marketing and outreach strategies. We're still going to build, obviously, right? We're going to clean up stuff, but I want to touch on marketing and outreach, right? How to get your first customer, okay? We're not just vibe coding for the sake of vibe coding. Like, we're going all the way. That's what I have planned roughly, okay? We're going to try to deep dive on that. And then we're going to try to launch this, right? Package it up in a GitHub and then switch to another project. So one of the things that I want to do is build a school community. So next week, what I'm promising you guys, I'm going to put out a free school community group so that we could chat amongst ourselves and we could share stuff. We could share code, we could share ideas, etc. This way I could lump everybody in a group together and we could start doing some deep dive on some stuff, and then we could have a community that we could build together, because I think that's really important. I like Alex V, I like the school, I like the community, I like the ideas that he has, so I think that would be a really good platform for us to think, and then we'll go from there. We're all over the place today, so I gotta apologize a little bit if you guys are a little disappointed in terms of like where we are. I do apologize. I'm jumping around a little bit more than usual, but let's see if we get this thing going, and then we'll figure out where our next steps are. And if not, then I'm going to try to we'll populate it in a different way. I'll just get the SQL just injected. Maybe I should just do that. I was hoping that this will just run, but let's see. So I see the issue, but the curl command is causing thing. Tell you what, here's what we're going to do, because this is just, we're just running around in circles here. Clearly this thing doesn't know how to do a population of the data, so I'll just run it one more time. If not, then I'm going to schema successfully insert in data for the syntax error. Yeah, so it's getting some syntax error. Okay, we'll let it give one more time. If it can't get that, then I'm just going to put this SQL, I'm going to run it directly and then get it in. Yeah, it's just stupid syntax error. Yeah, so if it, let's try it one more time, and if not, then like I said, come on, let's go. One execute, one execute, one execute. Okay, so it just, let me see if it's actually doing anything. Yeah, okay, that's weird. That's really odd behavior. So it says that it's, let me just double check here. So listening, attaching to execute remote database. Okay, here we go here. So let me just say yes, and then stop. I'm getting this error. I'm getting this message. And then, if not, I'm just going to do it manually. We've been way overboard on this here for a while, and I should just do it manually. Why is my scroll not working? So we're going to, where's my, it keeps saying that I need to pass a flag in order to execute it remotely. The script is populated in a local database. That's what's going on, of course. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to what's going on because we've been chatting, so I wasn't really paying attention to why it wasn't working, because it was suggesting that it was, that's what it is. So we've been running the local database all the time. Okay, let's try this now. This may take some time. What is this? Authentication error. So got allow. Okay. Keep going. Okay, so I think this is doing remote, executing on a remote database, video platform DB. Fantastic. Okay, looks like it's doing something now. Finally, got some data inside of there. Okay, progress. Where are we at? We're 3 o'clock. We got 1 more hour. Okay, let's push it and see if we could get some a little bit more stuff done here. Perfect. Sorry, this is why you got to pay attention to what the model is doing, right? Like with vibe coding, it's one of those things where you just got to be a little bit attentive to what's happening. It's one thing for you just to let the model go off and just do a bunch of stuff, but the truth is, if it strays too far, you're going to run into issues. Okay, so we got that going. Let it run a little bit more. Yeah, so we got 2 video count. We got no tags. Script seems to have stopped. It's taking a long time. I'll tell you what, if we can't get it in, I see the bash script is running, but it's taking very long, I think. Tell you what, remote, yes, proceed. File, rows, database size. Okay, so let's run this again. There we go. Perfect. Finally, we got some data, guys. We got some data. Now that we have this in place, we're going to try to see if we can speed this up a little bit. We're going to try to just get some of this API stuff going. So I'm going to do 2 things quickly. First of all, if you haven't learned this already, please commit. If you get something working solid, just commit. Commit often, commit as soon as you got something working properly. Publish. Oh, you know what? I don't even have database branch. Yes, okay. We're going to change the branch structure a little bit later on. Okay, let's do this. Let's make sure that we can read the data from this thing here. Source, index, let's see what we got. So we got a HONO, we got a /test, we got a /schema. So this is all create database thing, so we don't want to do that. So we're going to create a test folder because we need to know that this is actually working. So let's create a test folder, create a .http file, and then run this application and then call the /API videos to make sure that we're actually getting back results from the API. Okay, so we're going to create the HTTP test folder so that at least we can just run some local tests just to make sure that our API is working correctly. And then once we do that, then we're going to basically try to deploy and then connect our front end to that back end. No authentication. We're going to deal with authentication next week. Okay. So npm run dev. So here we got our test folder. Who's familiar with HTTP file, .http file? 1 if you know what a HTTP file is, but a 0 if you do not. Just so at least I know. Again, we're going to cover it. I'm just trying to get an understanding of who knows what. So it's a .http file. No, I didn't create a file already. There we go, it's coming. No, see, this is not what I wanted. I need a .http file. Yeah, see, it's trying to do this. I've noticed recently that the models try to do more scripts than actual thing. And I know it because the scripts is faster, so it's writing the code to run the code. But I don't want it to do that. I just want it to just do exactly what I asked for, which is a .http file. So .http file. So Ramon, I expect you to know this stuff because you're in the expert level. But yeah, they're actually fantastic. So just for people that don't know, the .http file just allows you to, if you're familiar with Postman or if you've ever heard of Postman before, you can use that to do some basic testing. So in this particular case, what it is, just a very basic file. And see here, I just have it. The @ gives you the URL. Then you can set the URL here. There could be any URL. And then you could use this, see, variable. So this @URL. So it's going to be replaced with that. And then /message, /test, /schema, etc. And the cool thing is, because of that, I could just basically click on it. Just above it, there's this button here. Let me just make it a little bit bigger. Here. So I could just press that send button and it's going to try to make an API call if I'm running it locally. So let's do this and let's clear this, keep this, and let's do npm run. So I could run it locally, and then let's just get rid of the chat so we could just see it better, and then Control+ a little bit more. I should have been doing this earlier, didn't realize it. So here I could just basically press this. Now that it's running, I could press this, and this will make an HTTP call. There. So we got data coming back, all right? So the good news about this is now that we have data, we could do let's do a Wrangler deploy, or Angler. DEPLOY, okay? And then Wrangler is going to tell me my URL. Again, no authentication, but let's do this. Wrangler deploy, database. So we could copy that URL. We could come up here. We could just do / and then we'll do @base URL. And oops, oh my goodness. Then we could do the same thing and determine whether it's working in online. Again, this is just so we could get a sanity check, make sure that things are actually working correctly. So this is now coming back from the API itself, from Cloudflare, right? So that's working. Fantastic. Great. So with that, we could now, the cool thing is we can now come over. So this is where the Monorepo really shines. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to that Monorepo concept because we talked about it. We might as well use our concepts. So this is what I'm going to do. We're going to tell the AI to get me a documentation. So we want to use this as a baseline. So we're going to use this HTTP test as a baseline. It doesn't matter. I wanted to just delete these tests and the schema thing because I don't want to necessarily share the schema publicly, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. This is a vibe coded app. We're gonna get rid of these ones here for now. /message test database connection test seed. We don't really want these, so I don't want it to do an API for this or any documentation for this. So what we're gonna say is use the HTTP file, use the API-test.http file as a reference, create a documentation for the API so that we have it, including the URL, so that we can add that to our documentation for the front end, so that the front end knows how to call the back end. We're going to update our documentation, and then we're going to go up to the Monorepo, and with the Monorepo, we're going to use that to connect to the back end. Hopefully everybody's following. Okay? Hopefully people are following on what's going on. Okay, so we got our data. We're going to go back to where's the front end? So we're going to go back to our Monorepo level, right? So we're going to go to this level here. Now, I actually didn't do the prerequisite for this mono repo. So I need to do that. Like this mono repo needs a GitHub instructions. So it needs to do that. So what you're going to do is just make sure that we got that straight. Come up to instructions, then click on generate instructions. And then that's going to generate a GitHub instructions based on what it finds in the project. So it's just going to try to analyze it and come up with its version of what's in the project. We're going to improve upon that, but this is just so that we have something to work with at the beginning. While that's happening, we're going to create a docs folder, docx, because again, we're going to use this to put all of our documentation in a centralized location so that we can reference it across the different projects, which is the key, right? Okay, so we got the right documentation. So we got a front-end API. Let's just see what we got here. So HTTP Live, your video platform, API-based URL. Now keep in mind, this is a public URL, right? So anybody can hit it. Again, we're going to put security, we're going to put other stuff on it. I just don't want to confuse the conversation with that right now. We're just doing the basics, just so at least we think. And at bare minimum, with this conversation here, we at least level set in the sense that we have connected our front end and our back end. We've deployed both of them. They're working. And then now once we have that in place, we can like really double down on the front end, right? Because we got the foundational stuff on the back end in place. And then we can double down on figuring out what other functionality we actually need. Now, while that's happening, again, we're building a video platform. So we're going to try to push a little bit here because we still haven't gotten our uploader working. We still got stuff to do on the front end side of things. So go back to Cloudflare for a second here. One of the things that we actually need is we need a storage account, the subscription. Okay, so the thing that I find with Cloudflare is that they just keep like prompting you for billing every time. You have my account already information, like just bill it. Come on, where you at, bro? Okay, so R2 object, for those who don't know, R2 is basically the storage location. See here, it just keeps showing my account ID the whole time. Jeez, annoying. Everywhere, it just publicly just shows out your account ID. It's like, why would you do that? Yeah, we'll have to get a demo account. So we're going to create a bucket. R2 buckets are just like Azure Blob Storage for Webman or AWS. Doesn't matter. They're all the same. So let's call it let's keep the convention that we got in terms of the name. So I'm going to go back here and we're going to go to YouTube Live Week 1 Video Platform Storage. We're going to call it dash storage, just so we keep the same convention. So compute and storage, R2 automatic. So we've chosen a place, so Eastern America. So they're basically what they're doing is they're putting the storage location closest to where I'm at. Standard, infrequent access. Standard is fine. Right. So there, we got a bucket, we got a thing. Now, actually, there's one thing that you can do here. So add a directory. Let's do it. Let's put general. Just name a folder called general. So at least we have a container, right, in the Azure world. Select from computer and API workers, upload larger files using things. So drag and drop from computer. So what file do I have? Let's do this. I'm going to put some of my shorts in there. I have some shorts, YouTube shorts. So just so at least we have something to work with. Come on. Social media, where is it? So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to put 5 videos up. Hello. 51 megs in piece. Yeah. Okay, so that'll be your video thing, and then we're going to hook it up manually to the database, and then we're going to make sure that the UI works. And once the UI works, then we're going to come back and make sure that we can upload to this storage. And we should be able to accomplish that before 4 o'clock. Then we'll at least accomplish our mission. So let's just see where we're at here. Okay, so we got the API documentation. Fantastic. So this documentation here, we're going to drag it up to the higher level. But let me just keep it. There we go. Okay, so this is my Monorepo. Make sure we got that. We got this. I'm going to keep this. So we just did a GitHub instructions front-end Knox tree. So it's just basically telling exactly what it is for each project. So that's great. So we got a backend, we got a front-end, we got architecture. This is our Monorepo. So again, we're at a very high level, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to say the front-end, we're just going to tell it that the front-end has some docs and the backend. Let me see if there's a docs in do we have a docs folder? No, we don't. We should have a docs folder here. So let's just put a docs folder in here. So new folder, okay? And then we're going to take that API front-end, we're going to put it in here. Populate guide. Okay, so we'll take all that, put it in there. And front end has a docs folder. Docs, yes. Okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to tell, because again, we're on a Monorepo level. We're just going to make sure that we have some connections in between. So we're going to tell it both projects, both the backend and the front end has a docs folder. Can you add those to the docs folder on the root level and also reference them in the GitHub Copilot instructions file so that the GitHub Copilot file can reference those docs in each individual project as well as in its main project so that we can coordinate across the different projects. All we're doing there is because we have a monorepo, we want to make sure that our front end knows about our back end and our back end knows about our front end. We're treating them as individual projects. We're deploying them individually, but we want the API to have all the context, the large language model to have all the context relating to the project. So that's basically why we're making this linkage together. And as soon as we get there, while it does this thing, we're going to try to make sure that we can get these videos. So let's just see if these videos are actually working, which they shouldn't be any reason why, but let me see if I could copy the URL. There is supposed to be a way where I could upload it and stream. Let's see, creators bundle. So image and for additional video stored. Yes, okay, because you know what, I might be doing, oh geez. Okay, hang on, gotta pull this off screen for a sec. Cloudflare, they're always just wanting to just keep buying. And the good thing is they're not charging you for any of this stuff, but I find that their checkout process to be a little bit all over the place. Every product, and I think they did make some announcements about this, because this was a complaint. The way how they're treating things is like you have to keep buying every single time. But the reality is that you shouldn't have to do this. Like they already have my account, they already have my content file. Just allow me to start using the product, charge me for it. Whereas it's this sort of like extra checkout every time, but it is what it is. I saw their announcement and they're making some changes on this side of the equation. So I did something wrong. I just realized it. I uploaded the thing to blob storage as opposed to the stream. That's my mistake. The stream underneath the hood is using blobs, but for me to put the video specifically, I have to do it under this section here. I apologize. That was my mistake. So we're going to drag that up again. The stream is its own individual bucket from the R2. Which R2 is just blobs. So think of it more for like PDFs and images and that kind of stuff independently. The stream is a dedicated platform that obviously sits on R2. However, it does the compression and it does basically like the scaling of the video for different platforms and all that type of stuff that goes on with video, all that fancy stuff. Use the API. Okay, great. So we're going to generate the token. We're going to get a video URL in a sec. I want to just make sure that this is actually working. Fantastic. And yeah, all this stuff is just going to be queued. You have 5 videos in your streaming library. You have 4 minutes of videos of content in your streaming library. Your capacity is 50,000 minutes. Basically at 100% remaining. Not bad for $5. Okay, let's do the API thing. So we're going to generate an API token. Client IP. Okay, so what you could do is just basically generate this stream here. Click and continue to summary. It's going to create a token, which I won't show on camera. Then we're going to copy that token. So we're going to go to, where am I here? In the database folder. If you notice, my key is hidden here. Now, I don't know if it's actually going to automatically do it, but we'll find out. If not, I'll just generate another key on the fly. I have an extension installed that automatically hides keys. And now I'm forgetting what it's called now. It's called env, I think. Yes, .env, this guy here. So the way how it works is basically, see, you have these keys here, and then what it does is it just automatically just port .env to ESV. This one here, this is what I'm looking for, sorry. This one here, .env official. So install it, and then I have to Command-Shift-P. Yeah, we have that, and then that's what I'm looking for, but I'm not seeing it on mine. Oh, there we go. It came on eventually. Yeah, got it. Okay, so now I can show you. I can show you the env file because I have that extension installed. And see here, it just automatically just hides the keys for you. Okay. So with that, I can now do this. I just want you guys to know about that. I think you should just do this regardless, but I just want you to know about that extension. It's actually a really good extension. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to come back inside of here, and then we're going to tell it we need to upload. We need a file uploader, and we're going to do it through we're going to do it through this. So what we're going to tell it is, just make sure I can't see the chat anymore. So let's do new, and then we're going to say, can you create a video uploader to upload the Cloudflare streams? Use this API key from my environment variable, then update the documentation so that I could use it on my front end. Okay, so where are we at? Okay, I lost you guys for a sec. I apologize. I was really just trying to figure out why the API key wasn't basically working, because I want to be able to show you stuff directly. So this hides it from, I don't have to actually show you my key directly, even though I've shown you so many other stuff already. So let's go to update the front end. While we're doing that, let's go to the back end here. We're on the last leg here, but I'm trying to see if we could get this thing up and running. It's really hard to program and talk and teach at the same time. Doing it all live, no prescripts, no nothing, right? We're just developing here. So you guys will have to give me a little bit of slack sometimes. So we're just going to get rid of that for now. How are we doing? How are we doing on the live? Am I losing you guys? Are you guys with me? Are we wrong? Are you getting any value? Or do you have any questions? Am I boring you? If I am, just tell me. Say, hey man, pick up the pace. Get your stuff done. More coding, less talking. Just be real with me. Like this is a safe space. You guys tell me how you feel about things, and I'm more than happy to change accordingly. And that being said, though, so we're gonna try to do the upload on the API here. We're gonna see if we can get that going. And but yeah, chat's quiet. We only got 6 people, so I've clearly lost a bunch of people. But like I said, please subscribe to the channel, and we're gonna keep bringing out content like this. Hopefully, giving you guys some value. Hopefully, you're learning a couple of things or two. Okay, so we got our token here. We got Cloudflare, we got our API, we got our stream response. Okay, then we're going to update our documentation, read the front-end documentation. We're going to update that accordingly. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really do. It's different parts of your brain working all at once. So the truth is, it's like you're trying to focus on this and then trying to focus on the code. And again, there's no pre-script. So it's like we're actively coding. What you see here is actual code being shipped, right? Next week, though, I'll have to be a little bit more structured. And I'll get better at this. I promise you guys, I'll get better at this. So I want to pack a bunch of stuff. Next week, we're just going to hammer out a bunch of stuff because I want to really accelerate the pace of these conversations. Like 3 hours, my goal is, let's say after a month, maybe a month and a half, let's say after the next 2 more sessions, we should be able to, in 3 hours, vibe code like 90% of an application. Why? Because we're going to have the backend info, we're going to have the authentication layer set up. We're going to have the multi-tenancy application part of it set up for the most part, or at least parts of it. We're going to have a Stripe integration, and we're going to have a basic sign-up page. Like we're going to have all the foundational type stuff so that we could vibe code like almost any platform level type stuff. And again, I'm sharing this stuff with you guys. So you like feel free to take it, use it as your own, and then build your own foundation on top of it. My goal is basically so that you could just vibe code like the top layer. You don't have to worry about the underlying infrastructure. And then obviously Cloudflare has your back so they could deal with the scaling problems, right? But we're getting there. Don't worry. We'll get there. We'll become pro at this pretty soon. And hopefully we'll have hundreds of people watching and getting value from these conversations. But for the 7 of you that are here, I appreciate you 100%. Like I said, my goal is just to keep bringing value. So bring the feedback, bring the comments, and I'm going to create the school for you guys so that we can at least chat amongst ourselves, learn, share the tools that we're using, and just grow together, right? That's what this is about. It's all about growing as an entrepreneur, right? Developers, but entrepreneur developers, right? We're about the money, but bringing value to the world also. So that's important, 100%, right? But I've learned one thing about business is that you can't bring value to other people if you haven't helped yourself, okay? So once you help yourself and you figured out who you are, what you want to be, what you want to do, what kind of impact you want to make in the world, then you could actually help other people. And frankly, in today's modern world, you need cash. And that's important for you to build a foundation for yourself so that you can help more people. My goal is to basically, every single person that comes in this stream, I want you to be able to say, hey man, I made my first million. Like we vibe coded an app, we blew it up, we scale it up, and it's printing money for us. And now I could do X, Y, Z. I could make better impact in the world. That's what we're about over here. So I appreciate all 7 of you, 8 of you now that is on the screen, right? So that's what I appreciate me too. So yeah, maybe it's 8. Okay, so we got our backend going. We're going to jump back over to the front end. Let's just jump to the repo here. Let's see if we can just push this through, just get a couple of things like fast tracking the last half an hour that we got here. Where are we? So we got a front-end architecture. Is this our Monorepo? Front-end application, file object, upload, and then Cloudflare Streaming, authentication, request, check token, receive, create a hash, manifest, response, video, hash URL, YouTube thing. And so we got to make a choice here on how do we deal with this. So basically what we need to do is we need to upload and we need to save the database at the same time. So we want to get that done in one shot. We don't want to have to come back to the front end because the only thing that we really want on the front end is saying, oh, it's already doing the database. So save the database. Yes. Okay, great. Already ahead of me. Fantastic. So error handling. So upload file validation, token, configure valid file. Okay, great. All right. So let's full screen, entire screen. Okay. So with this, we now have our front end. So what we're going to do is, we're going to just test. Okay, so what we're going to say is for the front-end application, we've implemented the file uploader. Can you read the documentation and figure out how the file uploader work, and then implement the file uploader on the front end so that we can upload to Cloudflare? Also ensure that we have proper login so that we could just log in the console what's going on. Okay, so we're going to try at least get that part done. Try to see if we could push at least one video from our local into the app, get that going, and then we're going to, once we have that, then we're going to basically just be able to list our videos from our front end. And I think that would be a decent place to end off, so that next week when we jump in, we're on all of the cool stuff, right? We're on the authentication, like I said, we're on the, where are we at here, right? And next week there's no wasting time. We're just going to come in, we're just going to start hammering away at where are we? Where's our plan for next week? Here, there we go. So put this as week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Authentication thing. So let me just ask, who has experience with Auth0? Anybody's used Auth0 before? Put a 1 in the chat. If you've used Stripe before, put a 2. Let's see. Just curious. Got 7 people watching. I'm just curious where you guys are at so I could figure out how to structure next week's video. Because I want to hit Stripe, I want to hit Auth0, I want to set it up in a way as simple, the simplest that I can for vibe coders. And then we're going to do more complexity, but I want to, that was it. If you've done Auth0 before, put a 1. If you've done Stripe before, put a 2. Just so at least I know. Boo, boo, boo. And by the way, if you're getting value from this and you haven't subscribed, please do. I've said that enough times that I hope that everybody here has been subscribed. Also, share it, right? Share the love, man. If you're getting some value, send it to some other people. Say, hey man, you're thinking about building an app. Like this guy has helped me with a couple things. So share it to somebody else. Let's see what we got here. I want to go a little faster. So we got 20 minutes. Let's try to get this up and running. So are we there? No, almost. Okay, so front end, uploading. Nobody's done Stripe before. Nobody's done thing. Okay, so we're going there before. We're going to try to see if we can run our uploader. Get it uploaded. So we're going to try to do the uploader thingy. Let's see what happens. And we got to do a deployment. So you've done Stripe. Qtune, cool, and keep cool. I don't know much about it just because we use our own authentication system. Got you. So you, based on what you have, identity server, maybe? Or is it .NET Forms or something like that? Or authentication system in .NET? That'd be interesting. So that'll be good. And Qtune, you've mentioned that you used Stripe before, but not Auth0. So then there's lots to learn for next week. Lots to learn. Yeah, we're going to try to code, but we're going to try to like compress authentication into you guys' head, because honestly, it's the topic that I promise you, like every single thing else will look easy. What is the most important thing to deploy on Cloudflare? I use to deploy on Vercel. Okay, this is a good question. So what is the most important thing to deploy on Cloudflare? I'm used to deploy on Vercel. Okay, let me put it this way for you. You're a Vercel person. So if you're comfortable with Vercel, use Vercel. I'm going to tell you that right off the top. Like, you don't have to switch to Cloudflare. That being said, Cloudflare think of Cloudflare as a hybrid between like Vercel and the Azure people. It's literally sitting in the middle. The thing that you have to wrap your head around is the workers. It's just workers. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Compute workers. If I go in here as an example, workers and pages is the exact same thing now. They used to be 2 separate things. Pages used to be like a CDN. It was just a CDN. You could just deploy some static files and that's about it. However, workers came out, and workers is basically their API, so you can do code, write code and all that kind of stuff. They've since changed that, and they've just merged them together so that it becomes one now. So when you do a deployment, it's both static files and JavaScript, which is basically their workers isolates. You need to just really understand workers, because it's like the foundation for everything. Go back and watch my first video from last week. It'll help you out quite a bit. I should do one specifically on workers, a shorter video just to compress everything that I know about workers, because everything for all of our production application runs on workers. They're just rock solid. And more importantly, I'm not making this up. I've never paid a single dollar for any of the apps that I have running on Cloudflare workers. Ever. And I genuinely mean that. No, I've paid Cloudflare money, but it's not for workers. I just want to be clear with that. I've paid them for storage and other stuff like that. But workers, I don't even know how they make money from it. I don't even know. Okay, where are we at? Let's see. Sorry, I didn't mention that part. So push to GitHub, auto deploy. Yes, you know what? Here, why don't we do that? We'll do that in 2 seconds. So literally create an app. Look at this. Test app. Okay, click on, I'm answering this question here. So click an app, click on import directory, and GitHub, Dwain Browne, here, choose your project, select. It will automatically figure out the type of project. It'll automatically do the deployment. Click on create and it's done. That's it. You're done. That's how you deploy for workers, okay? And then more importantly, every single time you push to GitHub, it will create a deployment history, and you can roll back to any version at any single time, instantly, at global scale, anytime, for $0. So the grass is greener, I'm just saying. But you know what? I'm going to do a video specifically on workers. There's no big setup. The problem with Cloudflare is that they don't know how to market their products. This is my personal opinion. Cloudflare just does not understand how good their technology is. They know, but it's like, they haven't figured out how to translate it to regular people. I'm calling myself a regular person here. And cheaper, okay? Because you're not sitting on top of AWS. You're like on the baseline, like you're one of the big, the whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a deployment. So let's just do a Wrangler deploy. Okay, oops. Looks like, where are we? Which project are we in here? Okay, so we're going to deploy our backend. Again, no authentication. We'll have to deal with the consequences. I'm going to have to pull this down because when I put it up on YouTube, somebody's going to try to hammer my servers or some craziness. So I'm going to have to pull this down and then change the URL. But yeah, so that's that. And then what we're going to do is Cloudflare account ID here. Why do I need a Cloudflare account ID? So next pull. Okay, so create a .env file and front end env. Why do we have an env example? I don't want that. Rename. We have to. So we're going to basically put this. So we got API public URL. We got our cloud NPM public account. Oh, we already have that. Okay, so I think we're good to go. So let's just run this. So test. Can you test against my production URL? Okay. And so it might actually change the env file. So let me just put this on this side here. Okay. Then we're going to try to run this. Then did we deploy? I don't know if we did actually. Yeah, we did deploy. So backend is already deployed. Let's see if we could get this working. We got 10 minutes. Almost there, guys. Almost there. Come on. Come on. Let's go back to Cloudflare for a second here, just to make sure. I do want to see this because I want to see the logs for the deploy for this. And I also want to see Cloudflare's, the media stream section, videos. So I want to see this. So here, so I got a bunch of videos created. Analytics, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, great. Account ID. It just keeps, man, I don't know what's up with these guys on their, I don't know what is up with them on their UI. Just a crazy company, Cloudflare. Okay, allow. Okay, so we're just testing video endpoints, making sure that things are actually working correctly. Great, excellent. Production API is working. 15 blah. Testing. Video stream token not configured. Oh, interesting. Oh, Cloudflare streaming token. Got it. Okay. So we got to set the Cloudflare streaming token. So we just got to put that inside of worker. So here under settings, we just got to go to, where are you? We got to, oh my goodness, where is it? Oh, geez. Variables and circuits here. Add. And then we got to put a secret. And we just got to paste that. Where are you? Database platform here. And again, I'm going to pull this off screen just for this thing. So I'm just basically going to my env file. I'm just pulling this token here. So copy, all right? So I'm copying this token from here, and I'm basically going to just paste it in here, pull that off screen, paste it, and then we're just going to press the save button, deploy. Okay, fantastic. So now we have our token saved here. One of the things that I've noticed, just as a side note, sometimes when you make a change to the variable, it doesn't pre-populate out. So sometimes you have to run Wrangler deploy again to force the Cloudflare to trigger things. So just a heads up on that. Allow. And okay, so let's run it locally now and see what happens. npm run dev. Click on this. Boop, boop, open. And let's go to this guy here. We're going to click on upload. We're going to say test deep upload, upload. And this is our first. We inspect console. You got to find a video to drag and drop. Console log, and then I'm going to click on upload, and let's see what we got on the logs here. Look at that. We're cooking, buddies. We're cooking. Okay, so we got this going, and then let me go back to Cloudflare now and just see where the stats are at. So if we go back to media, streams, analytics, that's 24 hours. The thing that you'll have to get accustomed to is that Cloudflare, their live thing is a little funky. It's just not the best UI. Like there's just a lot of issues with it altogether. But nonetheless, if you can get past that, like you can't go wrong. I don't know why they need to show the account ID every single screen. It's just so weird. I wish I could just talk to those guys directly. But yeah, okay. So the good news is our file uploader has worked. Or at least I think it is. Network uploaded error. Great. It's been blocked by cores. Damn it. That's fine. Okay, you know what? Let's do this. Let's deploy this to production, and then we could think so that we don't have that problem. And then we're going to just, so we got a course problem. I presume you guys know what a course problem is, but any single time you're uploading in JavaScript, there's just, You just got to make sure that the URL that you're uploading from in the browser is authorized to push to Cloudflare. So we got to do a couple things. Let me just push this up first. So bear with me. So we're going to do Wrangler deploy. So we could deploy our front end. Oops. Can you deploy my front end to Cloudflare using the Wrangler deploy? Next week, we got to set up CI properly. Come on, Whisper. Come on, man. So paste, enter. We just want to deploy this. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up cores. Now, cores might be a little tricky because we have to do it on the worker level. So let me just check here. Settings. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to do it in here. I've never seen that before. You have to do it on the... Yeah, you know what? Let me just check that. Let me just double check that because I actually never did cores on the actual UI. Let's see if I can get a shortcut here. Come on, hurry up. Can you set up cores on Cloudflare workers from the U? Come on, it depends what you mean. Core, yeah, no, my goodness. CORS. No, you can't directly do it. You have to do it from the HTTP. Yes, that's what I figured. So we have to do it from the code level. So what we're going to do is we're going to go get our front-end API URL. So what you're going to do is you're going to come here to this guy because this is our front end, okay? And we want to make sure that this front end can talk to, wait for it, this backend, right? Because again, this is the database backend. This should be called API, by the way. We're going to fix that next week. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back into our backend. If I could just find which window I'm on. Can you ensure that cores is enabled for this URL? Should I tell it to just deploy as well too? Almost there. We're going to get this going regardless. I'm going to get this up. Come on. Almost there. So there's no cores configuration. So we'll enable that. And then while that's happening, we just got to make sure that we can. Okay, let's put this as full screen. Yeah, so this is adding cores to the requests. And then we want to make sure that the deployment is going on for... Oops, let me stop this. Okay, so you know what? While we're waiting for some of this stuff to get deployed, and we're just going to double check that the thing, I think cores is fine. So we should be able to get at least one video up and running. We're going to just double check our database. And then what we're going to do is leave it off there. And next week, we're going to try to flesh things out a little bit more. But the good news is that we got backend more or less done, right? We got a database, we got an API layer, we got a front end we can upload, and we basically just have to read the data from the database. So that's something that we have to do as well too. Perfect. Okay, so we got a deployment go in, and let's just go back to this here. So we're going to do a Wrangler deploy, get that going. Now you see it's dropping all these local URLs. I didn't want it to do that, but that's okay. We're just going to take it as it is for now. So we got to come back and remove those local host URLs. So starting to upload, Wrangler deploy, and then we're going to try to do this in the browser and see what happens. Excellent. Deployment is successful. Cores is being summarized. So we're going to tell it to do that. Press enter. For some reason, my Whisper is running really slow today. Okay, so that's fine. Let's just, while that's happening, we're going to go back to the browser and we're going to open up this URL. You know what? I got an authentication problem that I didn't actually fix. So let's just go do that right now. Let's go scroll remove. We're going to leave it public for now and then we'll close it back down. So where are we? Zero trust. I didn't fix that. I forgot about that last week because we tried to do sort of a basic auth so we don't keep hitting the URL every time. So applications and this guy here, we're just going to delete it for now. Just delete it, or is there a way to disable it? Yeah, let's delete it for now. We're going to bring that back later on. Okay, so go back there, press this, refresh. There we go. Click on upload and that's it. Click on console, clear, test, video, upload, description, and let's drag this bad boy up. Click on upload. Let's look at the logs, see what we got. Uploading in progress. And while that's happening, let's go check our Cloudflare workers. Let's go here and let's look at metrics. And let's see if it's actually doing something. Where are you at? How big is this file? Megabytes of my 133 megs. Interesting. Really slow. What's going on? Okay, you know what? In the meantime, let me see if I could find a smaller file to test with. Yeah, you know what? Let's just make a small file. Loom 404, but I want to get this done. I want to at least make sure that we at least cover something, get to the end. So I'm just going to just record some random screen here, just so at least I just got a room video for 2 seconds of video recording. This is a video test. We just want to get a small video so that we can upload it to the Cloudflare. Okay, we're going to press on stop. That's going to open up Loom, give Loom a minute or so just to basically upload, and go back here and click on download video. Then we're going to basically put that here, and then we're going to try that upload again with something smaller. Okay, and then let's click on upload. Let's see what's happening. Failed to stream. Failed to stream. Details. Where is the details? Failed to upload Cloudflare stream. Failed to XHR. Failed to upload Y. Failed to upload stream. Okay. Didn't tell me why though. At least we got something. We're going to bring that over too. That's why you need logs, guys. Logs are important. And make sure I'm in the right projects. I tried to deploy it and got it uploaded working. However, it's giving me this. Something is going on. Okay, you know what? My voice to type is killing me. I'm getting this error when I deployed. Oops. Getting this error after deploying. Let's do a new one. Okay, let's see if we could figure that out pretty fast. Looking at the error, upload successful from the front end progress, but the back end is returning 500 with the upload stream. Indicates a failed success error in the array. Okay, so you know what we should do? Allow this. Hopefully it's not a course problem, I don't think. But let's find out. Or you know what, the easiest thing for me to do is to test this locally, but I'm going to try this one more time like this and see what happens. And then if not, we're going to try to do the local way. So when I try to upload a file, it seems like it's getting uploaded successfully, but then I'm getting an error from the back end. So can you help me figure this out? Why are we still getting this? So come on, paste the error again. I see the upload is completed with 500 fail. Cloudflare Stream, let me examine the backend code. So it might be that I didn't put all the API, the environment variables. So let me just double check that because I don't think I did put all of them. So exit, full screen. And let me just look at the environment variables quickly here. We only got one environment variable here. So that should be fine. That should be okay. Perfect. I can see the code expects Cloudflare Streaming token to be set. Perfect. I found the issue. The backend expects Cloudflare token secret, but it's not set. So one of the issues is you have to, in your config, Wrangler D, we have to specify those variables, because there's a dance that's happening between the variable and things. So the problem is the backend code checks for Cloudflare token, but returns an error because it's not set, right? So how to fix this? Wrangler secret, right? So we got to push this here. Yeah, okay. We have to basically configure Wrangler to set that secret. But I thought we did it truly though. So you know what? I might be a little bit confused, but can you run this for me? You run the code. And then I'm going to just copy that URL. We're just going to run it through Wrangler and see what happens. So Wrangler secret, it's going to prompt me for the secret itself. So just to be clear, I'm running Wrangler secret. It's prompting me to enter my secret value. So I'm going to paste that right here. I don't think it'll show it, but just double check it. I got to zoom out a little bit here. Yeah, okay. So that's that. And then it's going to basically create the secret in the platform. And then it should work. So try uploading again in the front end and let's see what happens. Let's just do this now. Let's just go back here, clear this, do the same thing again. Description. And I'm just going to give the file a different name just in case. Upload it. Oh, what did we get now? Fail to upload stream. Success. Upload finish. Interestingly enough, the upload is finishing. So why are we getting... Yeah. Okay. Backend database platform. I'm still getting an error. I'm not certain. Can you test it for me? I'm going to wrap this up on where we are right now. However, I'm going to try to make sure that I get this right, and then I'll give a proper overview of what went wrong here. So I'm going to try one last thing. If it doesn't work, then we're going to basically take it offline, fix the problem. Then we'll try to document it so at least nobody has to go through this problem again, because it is uploading. There's no question about it, it's uploading. But let me get error logs and see what's happening. So it's going to check its error logs, which is supposed to be, so you should be able to see that in Cloudflare. And the good news, this is why we're doing this stuff live, right? I want to make sure that everybody see where some of the issues would be with Cloudflare, how do you debug them, that sort of stuff. So what I want to do is observability here. So you see it did upload here. And what am I missing here? What am I missing? Truncate, error. Doesn't actually tell me. Yeah, it doesn't actually, doesn't actually say what the error is. Or at least that I could see it. Maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. But yeah, let's do one more shot at this. We know at least we're getting something getting uploaded. We're just not getting... Actually, let me just check and see what's happening on this side first. Yeah, okay, so nothing actually went up here. Analytics. This is definitely not showing anything, which is crazy. This is me. Oh, this is just delivery. And transform, live inputs, videos. This is just a horrible layout of a UI. So we're going to try one more time. If that doesn't happen, then we'll leave it as that. I'm going to try to debug it, figure out what the problem is, document the problem for you guys. And then we're going to go from there. Allow, Wrangler deploy, yes. So console log streaming error API. Yeah, okay. So it's just going to just deploy all the stat for us, so we can say wait for deployment to complete. So wait for me to deploy. Perfect, this works. Wrangler tail, workers deployed. Let me tail the logs again to see the tail error. Okay, so it's gonna try to do its thing while I am going to go back here, clear this. This is just a tool that I use to populate stuff pretty fast. And then let's just change the name again to something else. Upload it. And where are we? Okay, we're gonna close off with this here. Let me just see. So what is it? Okay, error Cloudflare API 404 not found, null success object. The logs are ready. You're waiting. Please now you'll see the detail logs here. Yeah, I'm a little confused with this. So what am I missing? 404. Perfect. I see the issue now. So streaming API is returning 404. This means that account ID is incorrect. Doesn't exist in that account. I see. Got it. Okay. Got it. That's the problem. Okay. I understand. So we should be able to put this in the, okay. So that's what we got to do. So update the front end. So go to your Cloudflare dashboard and just click on streams on the left hand account ID. Exact. Go to Cloudflare, enable Cloudflare Streams, verify token. Go to API tokens, find your token. Yes. Then update your front end, click on the front end. So is it front end or is it back end? Because this account ID here, where is it coming from? Where are you getting the account ID from? Okay, got it. From the form data. Yeah, you know what? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Got it. So let's just set up the account ID to come from the environment variable. It shouldn't have to come from the front end. So that's the issue. So basically, let me just explain, make sure everybody's following. So basically what's happening is when we try to upload this file, everything is working. We're almost here. So when we try to upload this file, the URL that it tries to call expects that I the front end sends the account ID that it's trying to update. However, I don't want to necessarily do that. I'm going to basically hard code the account ID in the backend so that the backend can then post to the Streams API. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, I'll try to just clarify it very quickly. So you got the front end. The front end, you do an upload of a file. The backend is posting to a worker. Okay. The worker is taking that file in a stream, essentially. And then what it's basically doing is it's forwarding it over to the stream. Okay. That stream API expects a token and it expects an account ID. The account ID is expected to be passing. I'm not passing that right now, so that's why it's failing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that account ID in an env here. So it's hard coded for this level here. And then that should solve the problem. So there. Account ID. So where do you get your account ID? That account ID comes from the side panel, this one that I keep hiding because it's just, being thing. But so we're going to click on that and then we're going to click on this and then that should put up the account ID. Let me just see if it's uploading Cloudflare secret. If I go to Cloudflare again, enable zero blur. If I go back here and I go back to compute and I go back to workers and I go to this, I should see that secret in there. If not, I'm going to manually add it. Variables and secret here. So first, let me just test that it's actually, okay. It's asking for me to do it again because I copied it with the zero blur and I think that caused an issue. Great. So now we have that secret there. So now if I refresh this, there we go. Perfect. So that's what we're missing. So now we're going to do a deployment. Perfect. Almost there. Come on. Oh, it's trying to do Git and all this craziness. I just want you to just do a deployment for me. Come on, buddy. I don't want to stop it because it's going to do a Wrangler deploy and then we're going to go for there. So so the bottom line is the entire thing is working. We just forgot to put in their account ID, and as a result, the stream isn't working. I'm pretty confident about this, or at least based on what I'm seeing from the error message so far. So once we get this going, we're going to shut this down. We're going to check our database. We're going to call it the day. And then next week, we're going to dive deeper into Wrangler deploy. Okay, so we just deployed that. Come on. Upload in, uploaded, deployed, 45 seconds. Great. Now we're going to come back to my windows are all over the place. I don't even know which window is which right now because I'm scrambling so much. So I'm just generating randomness right now because I'm so desperate for time. Change the video URL, just the video name just in case. Click on upload. Bam! Ooh, almost. Could not access initialization. Okay, video has been uploaded. Created a video in database. Yes, fantastic. Uploaded, redirected. We're good. We're good. This is front end issue now. We're good. So I'm just going to drop that in the chat. Okay, we're just going to put that error so that this guy could work on that while we're doing other stuff here. So we're going to put that in there. Let him figure out what to do. So I uploaded the file. It looks like it successfully got uploaded. However, I got this error when I tried to redirect to view the video. Let that run in the background. We won't worry too much about that because that's a front-end problem, I'm sure. And how do we know? We got to go check our database. Number one, do we have a data in our database? So let's go to storage. Let's go to D1. Let's go to this guy and explore, select star videos and run. Oops, sorry, I keep doing that. From, okay. So it's here. Walkthrough, full walkthrough video. So interesting. Where is it? It's in here. Am I missing it? Did I? Or you know what? Let me just, okay, hang on a second. Let me just check one more thing. So go back to the logs. Let's go check this URL here. Let's go check this URL. Let's just see what it's doing. Oops, can't do that. Let me see, you got the thing. In my team, we say, boom, we're almost done. No, listen, we're almost there, man. We're almost there. We got all the pieces. All the pieces are working. We just got some little cleanup to do. I know it's working, so we're just going to fact check one more thing. But yeah, no, 100%. You got the thing. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And where are we? Let's go back to our, not R2, media, stream, videos. There, eCam, okay? So it did go up, okay? So every single thing from here is just, it's front-end related. This is, our video is up. It's sitting there. That's a win for me. So it's just clean up from here now. It's just, okay, we got to just make sure that our database entry is going in. It might, that exception that it got caused might just be throwing off the, yeah, so you see here. So now let's fix this. So we got a circular reference. Yeah. So this is like all you stuff from here first. So this is a win. We're half an hour over time. I chatted way too much at the start, so I do apologize for that. I wanted to level set, like I said, because we got new people coming in, and I just want to make sure that as you progress from week to week, that people are able to follow and at least get a little bit of half decent recap because the videos are long. So anyway, listen, it's been a pleasure hanging with you guys. How many people are hanging out? I don't even know right now. So let's see. We got 6 people hanging out. You guys are a champion. I appreciate you so much in every single way. It's just a pleasure to just be able to hang out and just, not presentation, I'm looking for main camera. It's just a pleasure to just be able to just hang out with you and just like I said, vibe code in real time and just share my experience and share some of my views on how to do things. Hopefully you got some value. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a sort of ramble. I'm going to try to tighten things up. Next week, we're going to be hard hitting. Okay. We got to push an application, get it up at least so that we can start figuring out how to market this thing. And again, all this code that I'm doing, I'm wrapping it up and packaging it up for you guys. So if you want to sell it, do your own thing with it. That's totally cool. My goal here is to just bring you the value. Your goal is to figure out if you can use the product and do something with it. Obviously, you have to do some back-end stuff. But the point is you'll have real world, real experience, real develop, front-end, back-end security, the whole 9 yards that you could ship. And then I'm going to try to make it fun too. If you guys got project ideas and stuff that you want to build, we're going to do like a whole competing system. We're going to put a ranking system and build it in the open. All right. And just hand it over. Yeah. With that, listen, it's been a pleasure. Ramon, you get there's a YouTube has you as like a king, number 1, and T-Zone, or no, my Q-Tuned, I'm sorry, dyslexia, okay, has you as number 2. You guys are both number 1 in my book. So I appreciate you very much. And for everybody else, we got 7 people watching at this particular point. I appreciate you very much. And like I said, I'm going to basically I'm going to chop the video up. I'm going to compress it. And then we're going to put it out on the main channel. So please go out there and just like it and then just put a comment or whatever case. Just so at least YouTube knows that I'm providing value. That's basically what it is. And hopefully more people could get some value from this. I appreciate you guys. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy your weekend. And I will see you next week again. Have a wonderful day.